He has sports like 96.5 The Fan.
Right side throw, touchdown! Kansas City! A 3-yard touchdown pass in overtime. Kansas City wins the game.
Welcome into The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
Back-to-back best sports talk hosts as voted on in the Pitch magazine.
Live from the Fan Studios. Here's CDOT.
Let's do this. Another day, another dollar, another edition of The Drive. You are listening to The Drive on 96.5 The Fan, 96.5thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. You can also stream the show on Twitch. We have a lot to get into in today's show. We are going to get you ready for tomorrow's Divisional Round matchup against the Houston Texans. This is an itinerary of what we have planned today. Coming up in about 30 minutes, we are going to have Mark Vandermeer join us on the show. He is the play-by-play voice for the Houston Texans. Coming up in the 3 o'clock hour, we are going to take a trip to Baltimore and Buffalo. I believe that outside of those two respective markets, the most watched city for the other AFC championship game is going to be Kansas City. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of intrigue to find out who the Chiefs could potentially play in the AFC championship game. I think the number is going to be big. I think as many people are going to watch Bills and Ravens this week in Kansas City that watch a normal regular season Chiefs game. I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of interest for the other game in the AFC. We will take a trip to Buffalo and Baltimore coming up in the show. Nate Taylor is also going to be on the show today. We have a lot planned as we get you ready for the Chiefs' first playoff game of the season. We are still working on getting the pizza back. But in the meantime, I need you guys to still do me a couple of favors. Number one, I need you to tell one friend about the show. And number two, I need you to keep it locked in right here on The Drive on 96.5 The Fan. All right, this is where I would like to start. The news is out. It is now official. The Chiefs have made a decision about what the plan is going to be at left tackle, and the Chiefs have decided to continue to roll with Joe Thuney. Here is the full tweet from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. The Chiefs plan to start Joe Thuney at left tackle Saturday against the Texans, per sources. DJ Humphries is healthy, but Thuney, a Pro Bowl guard, has flourished in tackle relief while Humphries was hurt, so the Chiefs are prepared to ride the hot hand. This was the only decision that made sense to me. The Chiefs have had a lot of success with this offensive line. Joe Thuney has made 4 starts at left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. And during that time, the offensive line has been the best, the most cohesive, and most consistent that it's been throughout the course of the regular season. If you look at when the Chiefs played their best brand of football, it worked out for them during this time period. So I never really understood the argument that, well, we did something that worked. It worked exceptionally well. Why don't we switch things up for the postseason? Eventually, plans change. I fully believe that when the Chiefs went out and they signed DJ Humphries to a $2 million deal the second half of the season, the plan was that he was going to start on Saturday against the Houston Texans. But again, plans change. You put him in the starting lineup. He gets injured. He's out for the next month. Joe Thuney steps in relief. He plays exceptionally well in the relief. And now you're faced with a little bit of a conundrum. But I think that this was the best decision that could possibly be made. I think that this was the only decision that could be made for a position this season for Kansas City that has had a lot of instability. You have finally found it. And you were going to hold on to that as you headed towards the postseason, as you head towards a team in Houston that is one of the best pass rush teams in the National Football League. You were going to hold on to that stability. Now's not the time to be rolling the dice. If this was a regular season game, I firmly believe that DJ Humphries would start, and I would be advocating for him to start. You would have time to get him ready and get him prepared. You don't have that time anymore. The Chiefs have 3 games left. Now is not the time for experiments. Now is not the time to be feeling things out. Well, if this doesn't work, we can change. No, that's what the first 4 months of the season was about. It's go time. You're trying to do something that no team in the history of the NFL has ever done before. So I'm not really one for the experiments, at least for me. A major point was snaps. Now, maybe you disagree, and you're more than entitled to disagree and think the Chiefs made the wrong decision. But DJ Humphries has played 92 snaps this season. If you look at the other starting left tackles or Joe Thuney, who is a guard but played left tackle, the experience and the reps that you have are drastically different. Joe Thuney made 4 starts at the position. DJ Humphries made 2 starts at the position. So let's even remove Joe Thuney from the conversation. What about the other left tackles this year in the National Football League? Well, Philadelphia's left tackle played 800 snaps. The Texans, Laramie Tunsil, played almost 1,100 snaps. Deion Dawkins for Buffalo, 950 snaps. The Ravens, Ronnie Stanley, almost 1,100 snaps. You guys get the point that I'm making. This is week 20 of the NFL season. We've been doing this for a long time. I've gone through the OTAs. I've gone through the mini camps. I've gotten out all the rust and timing issues. And now it's time to put your best 5, your best and most cohesive guys that are out there for the postseason. And that's what I think the Chiefs did. Maybe Joe Thuney factors in, but I don't think that this plan is going to go wrong, at least not based off what we saw in the regular season. I saw this offensive line go up against this defensive line, and I saw which unit won. We'd be having a different conversation if the Chiefs' offensive line got whipped around. But why you can feel confident in this decision, why you feel like you can move forward moving him over there, was how you performed and how you handled the pass rush of the Houston Texans. So I think I've been very clear this week about what side of this argument that I'm on and where I stand. I think there was only one decision to be made, and it's the one that it appears they have made. Joe Thuney is going to start for this team at left tackle, and I know this was not your plan A when the season started. This wasn't your plan A around Thanksgiving time, but plans change, and really good teams have the ability to adjust on the fly. They have the chance to navigate, veer off the path, and still find a way to make it work, and that's what I think the Chiefs have done. This is not ideal. You are moving your best offensive lineman and technically playing him out of position. But I think at least in the short term, and this is something that they can resolve in the offseason, I'm not against DJ Humphries coming back next season. In fact, I think DJ Humphries coming back on a 1-year deal to allow you time to draft and develop makes a lot of sense. And you find maybe a more long-term solid solution. But you don't have time to deal with that right now. There is no tomorrow. It is win today, advance, and we'll continue to figure this thing out. And I think the Chiefs picked the best short-term solution for the rest of their offense. I do want to talk a little bit about the Bills and Ravens. We will get back to the Texans game coming up here in just a bit, but indulge me for a second on the Bills and the Ravens. I think these two teams are as even as you can possibly be. I know what happened the first time that these two teams played each other, and Baltimore punched Buffalo very early in that matchup, and they didn't let up. It was kind of like Ralphie when he was beating up that kid from A Christmas Story. I mean, it was a start to finish pummeling we saw from the Baltimore Ravens. That was early in the season. That game was at home. Fast forward, it's later in the season. This game is going to be on the road. I think a lot of the conversation about the weather and how Lamar is going to play in the weather has been a little bit of nonsense. I don't think the weather is going to play that much of a factor in for either team or either quarterback. These are two very well coached, very evenly matched teams, two great offenses, two great quarterbacks. I don't think that the weather is going to be a major factor in this game. To me, this game comes down to trust. And at least at this stage in their career, I trust one quarterback far more than I trust the other in a game of this magnitude. Lamar Jackson has been phenomenal in his career. He really has been. Lamar Jackson has been one of the most electric quarterbacks that we have ever seen in the National Football League. His ability to take off and run and how that creates such a mismatch for the opposition. He is one of the most dynamic players regardless of position that we have ever seen. He is a player that, in my opinion, is worthy of winning a 3rd MVP award. But with all of those personal success comes now that next part. He has done everything that you can do in the regular season, and there is only one question left for Lamar. Can you win these kinds of games? And at least so far in Lamar Jackson's career, there's no reason to think that he's going to play well in this game. Now, he only has 2 road starts in his playoff career. We got some other postseason starts, but we only have 2 on the road. He threw for 179 yards and no touchdowns in one of them, and then threw for 162 yards and no touchdown. He's never thrown a touchdown in a road playoff game. We've seen Lamar come up small in these games. Man, I'm born and raised from Missouri. You guys know what our state slogan is. It's show me. Lamar Jackson has to show me that he can play well. He has to show me that he can have success and that he can win a game like this. I've seen Josh Allen in Buffalo play well and win these games. I've never seen Baltimore play well and win these games. When you think about the postseason wins that they do have, Pittsburgh, Houston last year, Tennessee, you've never beaten a heavyweight in the postseason. You've beaten some featherweights, maybe a cruiserweight. The Ravens have never beat a heavyweight with Lamar Jackson at quarterback in the postseason. So now it's show and prove. The public thinks that you're the better team. The public thinks that you're going to win. The public thinks that you at least are deserving of the MVP award this year. They think you have more weapons. They think you have a more well-balanced offense. I think the Ravens right now have a defense that is playing better than Buffalo's. The advantage is certainly in the Ravens' favor on Saturday. Well, then your quarterback needs to go execute. My pick of Buffalo comes down to two things, because I do think that the Ravens have the more talented roster. From 1 to 53, I think the Ravens are better and more complete than Buffalo. It comes to trust of the quarterback of Baltimore, and I cannot trust him so far in the postseason. I mean, you've been now to 5 postseasons. This is your 5th postseason. You haven't really given me a lot of reasons to think that you're going to go on the road, throw for 280 yards, run for 120, and dominate this game. I haven't seen it yet. And I've also seen where Baltimore has gotten away from the run and Baltimore has forgotten what their identity is in these games. If you're telling me that the plan is to run it 35 times this weekend, where Lamar is going to get a healthy amount, Derrick Henry's going to get a healthy amount, you sprinkle in a little bit of Justice Hill, that's a game that they can win. But too many times what I've seen with the Ravens in the postseason is, if you get on top of them early, if you punch them early, you can rattle them and get them out of their game and force them to play an uncharacteristic style. And that's what I think happens this weekend in Buffalo. Let's get back to Chiefs and Texans coming up on the other side. We're going to be joined by the play-by-play voice of the Houston Texans. Mark Vandermeer is going to join us next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive on 96.5 The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Fellas, it's the new year, and for many of us, this is a time to reflect and make some positive changes in your life. And if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction and you're tired of the frustration and embarrassment that it causes, it's time to pick up the phone and call Heartland Men's Health. Resolve your ED today, and at Heartland Men's Health, they have treatments that work when all your other options have failed you. And with a success rate of over 90%, you can see instant result. Do you remember the first time that this happened? You thought it was going to be a one-time thing, but then it happened again and again. But that's perfectly fine because there is a cure. This is a treatable problem if you just pick up the phone and call my friends at Heartland Men's Health. They have successfully treated men's across the metro, and for just $100, you can get your initial visit, a medical consult, some tests, and a test dose. And if this doesn't work in the office, then your visit is on the house. So pick up the phone and change your life. Call 844-447-6600 or visit heartlandmenshealth.com with 3 locations around the metro to serve you: Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs? You bet we are. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple, like a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code 965. That's code 965 for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over, Kansas only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort.
Rally House, shop every team in town, college and pro. Come on, it's time to go. It's playoffs time, KC. Rally House has the Chiefs gear you're looking for, including Chiefs official postseason gear and the latest styles fit for the kingdom.
Kansas, Missouri, Kansas State. Chiefs and Royals make KC great. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house. It's the Rally House.
Gear up in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
That spice is 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Hi, my name is Khadijah, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich is that spicy kick of the chicken. It's just the right amount of heat, and it gets me excited. And then, pro tip, add that cilantro lime sauce. It cools it down. If the sandwich is at 100, the cilantro lime takes it to 200. It makes me want to, tell all my friends and family.
Order a Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich and a Diet Dr. Pepper on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonial.
Order for Jennifer C. Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve? Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine? Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year? Oh, really? That's great. Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year? Yeah, you just said that. Did you say I just said that? Yeah, I'm cutting you off. I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Okay, so that's with bacon, cheese, lettuce, tomato, grilled onions, ketchup, and hold the pickles.
You know what you like. You wouldn't order your burger just any way. Why should your sports talk be any different? With Chapters on the free Odyssey app, you can choose the topics that matter to you most. Whether it's reactions, matchup previews, injury updates, or team news, quickly find what you really care about. Your football talk, your way. Download the free Odyssey app and start listening today.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Chiefs fans, it's George Karlaftis. Welcome to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Welcome back into The Drive on 96.5 The Fan, 965thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. Remember, you can also stream the show on YouTube. Let's head to the phone lines right now to be joined by the play-by-play voice of the Houston Texans. Mark Vandermeer joins us on the show today. Mark, great to catch up with you.
Carrington, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Let's just start with this. What made Houston's defense so successful last week against the Los Angeles Chargers? That's a team that's well coached. That's a team with a good quarterback. You have a rookie wide receiver in Ladd McConkey who was playing as well as anybody. But this Houston's defense was really able to take advantage of the Chargers. How did they do that?
Well, McConkey obviously had a great game. I mean, he had almost 200 receiving yards, and I likened it to if you play a basketball team that has a hot scorer, sometimes that guy's going to get his, but if you win the game, you feel like, okay, great, congratulations on the point total. And in his case, the yardage total and that great reception he had on 3rd and long for the TD in the second half. But the answer to your question is pressure. They got to the quarterback. They were hitting him early. They were getting pieces of them, and they finally got sacks. They got pressures. They forced errant throws. And pressure is the great elixir for a defense because the Texans have the guys on the back end to make life really difficult and miserable for quarterbacks. I mean, Kamari Lassiter is a tremendous rookie from Georgia, had the big pick. After the Texans turned it over, he took it right back for Houston. Derek Stingley Jr., all-pro, 2 interceptions. You had Eric Murray with the pick 6. Now, Murray's pick wasn't exactly like he made a tremendous play on the ball. I mean, it was a good play, no question, but it was a high throw by Justin Herbert, and Murray was there to capitalize. So, those things are going to happen when you get pressure on the quarterback, and maybe even if you don't get pressure on a subsequent play, he's maybe thinking about it or rushing it or whatever. So Herbert obviously had a bad game. Texans had a great game on that side of the football, and that meant all the difference in the world to keep that point total down, hold them to 12, and move on to the divisional round.
You mentioned pressure. I feel like if Houston's going to come into Kansas City and pull off the upset, they're going to need that front seven, that defensive line to play a much better game than they did the last time. They only got 1 sack on Patrick Mahomes, and he had a very good day spreading the ball around his weapons. If Houston is going to win this game, you're going to need more from Will Anderson than you got the first time and a lot more from Danielle Hunter.
Yeah, I think those two guys, or, I don't know if it matters where it comes from, Carrington, as long as it arrives in the pocket and makes Mahomes either throw it incorrectly, inaccurately, or, you get him down to the ground is the preferred result of that. When he gets out of the pocket, we all know how dangerous he is. I've always said, and you guys know this, I've always said that the running ability was overlooked. I felt like I was one of the first people to notice this, even though I'm clearly not. But he's not a running quarterback, but, man, he uses that as a weapon so often. And even if it's just 3 times a game where he scrambles for a fresh set of downs, it's so devastating and demoralizing for the defense. At least that's how it feels watching the game. So you just got to find ways to get there. And if it means sending extra people, so be it. Although, the great quarterbacks in this league historically, they don't mind being blitzed because they tend to know where it's coming from. They know who's hot. They find that hot receiver. I think with Mahomes, if you can, and this is with any quarterback, if you can get pressure with your front four, particularly the tackles, good things are going to happen. Because if the tackles can get up the middle a little bit and at least force him off his launching point, maybe the edge guys can get to him. Now, he tends to go through the B gap, and we all see him make plays like that too. So it's a basic nightmare for anybody facing Mahomes. You just have to find a way to force enough errant throws on third downs and find a way to capitalize on offense. Easier said than done, Carrington.
Right now, we're talking to the play-by-play voice of the Houston Texans, Mark Vandermeer. Mark, do you think that Houston has enough firepower in this matchup? Ron the Show Hughley, who does fantastic work in Houston, he was on the show a couple days ago, and he gave us the stat that Houston has only scored more than 2 touchdowns in one of their last 12 games. You're going to need to put up points in this game against a fully healthy Kansas City Chiefs offense. Joe Mixon's a little bit banged up. We obviously know about Diggs and Dell, and they're not going to play in this game. Do you think Houston has enough firepower in this matchup?
I think they have enough firepower if they play, I hate to say their best games, but play an A game. C.J. Stroud, I thought in the first matchup, and they were rerunning the game this week on NFL Network, so I hate to watch losses again. It's just painful. But I was watching it, and I thought, Stroud was playing pretty well in this game. And that throw he made to Tank Dell, where Dell got hurt for the would-be tying touchdown, was a hell of a throw. He made some other good passes. Now, I know he turned it over as well. But I felt like the game was very competitive, and it could have been the Texans' day, but the Dell injury seemed to, cast a dark cloud over everything. Long delay, emotional reaction to it. Dell was playing well in this game, and he's a big weapon for them. So in this particular outing, in the divisional round, you absolutely need everybody to be at their best. John Mechie's going to have to catch everything, and he's had some issues with drops on occasion. He had the fumble last week. I know it was a bang-bang play, hard hit, but it happened. First play from scrimmage for the offense. You've got to find a way to hang on to everything that C.J. Stroud throws at you, because I think Stroud is ready for the moment. This is year 2. He's in the divisional round. People look at his regular season stats. I don't think he pays much attention to that. He knows he played well last week. He knows he's got a great opportunity here. He just played here 4 weeks ago. I think he rises to the occasion and plays well. Is it going to be enough? We don't know. That's why we love sports. It's unscripted entertainment. I can't tell you what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be a very competitive game.
Mark, let's talk a little bit more about C.J. Stroud. I think one of the more fun things in sports is when you feel like you have that guy at quarterback and just seeing him grow, seeing him go through the growing pains. It maybe happened a little faster in Kansas City than it happens in most places, but Buffalo was going through it with Josh Allen early in his career, Lamar Jackson with some of his playoff disappointments. That's where you guys are right now with C.J. Stroud. What has it been like in these first 2 years to see him grow to where he has become the leader of that locker room?
this year has been tough because the pressure has been there, and I'm talking about physical pressure from the D-lines on the opponents has been there, and it's been difficult to protect. They just haven't played as well up front as they want to, even though Mixon's had some really good games, and Pierce had that great game at the end of the season against Tennessee. The O-line has struggled at times, and I think it affected Stroud. That's just my analysis. It affected Stroud at times. But you look at the end of the day, the numbers aren't voluminous. It's not like he threw for a high yardage total, a lot of touchdowns. But, he's the starting quarterback on a 10-win team, and he's a huge reason why they are a 10-win team in the regular season, and a huge reason why they won last week. I mean, you think about that blown snap, where the snap goes through him, and he's able to scramble to the right, throw back across his body, and find Xavier Hutchinson for a huge first down. It seemed to change everything. He started really wheeling and dealing after that, spinning the ball beautifully, finding Nico Collins for a couple of big passes to finish that drive. It was a 99-yard drive. It changed the whole complexion of the game. C.J. Stroud, he's still a young player. He's 23 years old. He's still learning. So you're right. It is a process. And, a lot of people were thinking, oh, is he like Trevor Lawrence, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. C.J. Stroud's rookie season was historically good. He's not Trevor Lawrence, all right? And I still think Trevor could be a pretty good quarterback here. Nothing against him. C.J. Stroud just didn't have as good a season, regular season numbers-wise, as he did his rookie year. But here he is in the postseason, and Mahomes himself will tell you, this is all that matters. How you do on this stage is going to define your legacy. So let's see if he can have a good game against the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll find out.
Right now, we're talking to the play-by-play voice of the Houston Texans. One of the points that I've been making this week is I think Kansas City is going to win this game. I think they're the better team. They're at home. They're the healthier of these two teams. But I will acknowledge that Houston has some of the ingredients that you would need to pull off an upset. I think Houston has a good head coach. I think they have a capable quarterback. I think they have a very good defense that can get after the other team's quarterback and can also take the ball away. Houston has an ability to maybe muddy this game up where you can go into the final 8 minutes of the game having a real shot with the chance to pull off the upset.
Absolutely. There's always a chance. Anybody will tell you that. Look at last week. Everybody wrote Houston off last week because they watched Christmas Day and thought, that's not a good team. They're not going in the right direction, whatever. But the Texans kind of hit the reset button after that game. And DeMeco Ryans, even though the game against the Titans, the regular season finale, was against an inferior opponent, even though the Titans beat the Texans at home this year, they decided, let's have a great week of prep, great week of execution, great game. Starters played a drive. Most of the starters played a drive on offense. They finished it off beautifully. And I think that gave them a real positive feeling going into that week of prep against the Chargers. And as you all know, Carrington, you follow this game. They'll tell you it's about how they prepare, and they are huge on that here with, hey, we're going to play as well as we practice. Let's practice hard, practice well. They had a full week of football prep because they're going Saturday to Saturday, and I think that helps the Texans. And I know numerous guys are banged up, but they do have the tools to pull it off. Again, you got to make those plays. You're going to have to make the big stop at the moment of truth. You're going to have to hang on to a ball that's hard to get to. You're going to have to knock down a ball that's intended for Hollywood at a big moment if Mahomes is driving late. You're going to have to make those plays, and we won't know until we see it happen. And the Texans are trying to make history here, obviously, getting to the AFC Championship game for the first time ever.
This is usually where I ask people, give me your Chiefs win-if scenario, give me your Texans win-if scenario. I think for the most part, we know what the scenarios are for Kansas City to pull off a win at home. I'll ask the question this way. What did Houston not do in the first matchup that you think they need to do in part 2 of this series in order for Houston to pull off the upset?
They got to get the ball out. In the first matchup, if they were able to get that fumble return to count, right? They're up 10 at that point. Now, I know we're talking about a series where you had a 24-0 lead in 2019 in the Divisional Round, and it didn't hold. It evaporated by halftime, which is amazing. We don't have to talk about that game. And only very few players remain from that contest for the Houston Texans. And I know the Chiefs have really been overhauled as well. You see Mahomes, and it feels like with these great teams like the Chiefs, you see the quarterback, it feels like, same team, completely different team. And I know you know this, but, Travis Kelce, Mahomes, Chris Jones, great. Jones didn't play in that 2019 playoff game. But I think they got to get the ball out. They have to find a way to get either a score on defense or such favorable field position that it's almost an automatic. And you're going to have to make a play or two on special teams. I'm not even talking about turnovers. I'm talking about give me a 40-yard kickoff return. Give me a 25 to 30-yard punt return that really makes it favorable field position. Give me one of those. And obviously playing clean. I mean, that goes without saying, because if the penalties pile up to double digits and, you turn it over, forget about it. The Texans are not going to do this against a Goliath-like opponent like the Chiefs.
That is Mark Vandermeer joining us on the show today. He is the play-by-play voice for the Houston Texans. Tomorrow, we have a divisional round matchup between Kansas City and Houston. This is the second time that they have matched up in this round of the NFL postseason. Mark, great stuff. I'm hoping that we get a fantastic game tomorrow afternoon.
Thanks, Carrington. Appreciate it. Let's look forward to this one. It's going to be an epic game.
Absolutely. That is Mark Vandermeer joining us on the show. He is the play-by-play voice of the Houston Texans, getting you ready for the divisional round matchup between the Chiefs and the Texans. I want to play a quick soundbite for you guys, and we'll react to it coming up on the other side of it. So Matt Verderame was on the show earlier this week, and he gave me a stat that I have not heard from anybody else. You know that the Chiefs are big favorites this weekend. You also know that the Lions are big favorites this weekend. So I would put the Chiefs and the Lions in the same boat. I understand historically they're not, but I think you guys get the point I'm making. And also the Texans and the Commanders, they find themselves in the same boat as well. Listen to this stat from Matt Verderame.
I'm not overlooking Houston. I'm not. It's a playoff game. Anything can happen. I actually went back and looked it up. Since the divisional round became a thing in 1967, there have been 83 divisional round games where the spread was over 7 points. In those games, favorites are 65 and 18. They win about 80% of the time. You can lose. You can lose. It happens. But if the Chiefs don't give the game away, they're not losing this game. Even if they're a little rusty, even if they've got to figure some things out, they're better. They're better on all three phases of the game. They have a better coaching staff. And I think the Texans have a good staff, but the Chiefs staff's probably the best in football. They're better. They may not cover. Maybe it's one of those things where they win 26-20 or something.
I think when you look at these two teams, it really embodies maybe a couple of things that are kind of like running themes that I feel about the National Football League. I tell you guys all the time that I think that there is a difference between a Super Bowl team and a playoff team. I think Kansas City is a team that has obviously proven that they can win the Super Bowl, and Houston is a team that has proven that they can make the playoffs and win a playoff game. There is a difference. One team won 10 regular season games. The other one won 15 regular season games. One organization has never been past the divisional round. The other one lives past the divisional round. There are pretty noticeable differences between Kansas City and Houston. I agree with everything that you just heard Matt Verderame say. Houston can win this game, for sure. I don't want to go into this too cocky or too arrogant and think that there are no possibilities in which Houston could beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe in their quarterback. I think Joe Mixon is a capable running back if he's healthy enough to go, and I do think he's going to play. Nico Collins is a dynamic young receiver in this league. They do have one of the better defenses, a great pass rush, maybe the best 1-2 punch at cornerback in the National Football League. There is a reason why Houston has won their division 2 straight years, why they won a playoff game for 2 consecutive years. The Texans have some positives, but listen to that stat. 83 of these kinds of games for Detroit in their game against the Commanders, also in the game between Kansas City and Houston. 83 games in which the home team has been favored by at least the touchdown. Straight up, they're 65 and 18. It takes a really special effort from the road team to win this game, and it takes the home team playing down to the opponent. The other thing that you guys have heard me say is, I don't think that Houston can beat Kansas City. If you're telling me that Kansas City plays their A game or a B+ game or higher, I don't really think there's anything that Houston's going to do that they're going to score more points than Kansas City this weekend. But if Kansas City doesn't play a B+ game, if they don't play an A+ game, if they play a B- game or a C game, and this ends up being a game in which Mahomes gets sacked 3 times, you have a critical drop, you have a couple of turnovers, you give up a defensive touchdown, a special teams touchdown, you can find yourself down 27-20 with 4 minutes to go when you need Mahomes to pull you out of the fire. I do think that Houston is a capable enough team to be able to do that. So a big stat from Matt Verderame. There have been 83 divisional round matchups in which the home team has been favored by 7 or more points. They are 65 and 18. History tells you that even if Kansas City doesn't do it pretty, not saying you got to go out there and blow out the Houston Texans. It doesn't matter margin of victory anymore. It is a single elimination tournament. That even if Kansas City doesn't cover the spread, they win this game and they advance to the next stage because Kansas City has proven that they are on the tier 1 of teams. They're in that VIP room we discussed where there's only 5 teams that can win the Super Bowl, and Houston is not in there. And it is not very often that one of the teams from outside the VIP club beats one of the teams that is inside of it. And that's what I think people are asking the Commanders to go on the road to do with the rookie quarterback in his second start. And that's what people are asking Houston to do, to go on the road and beat a completely well-rested Kansas City Chiefs team. Rob, let me ask you a question. And if your answer is no to this, that's perfectly fine. I'm not trying to trip you up. Do you remember anything about Patrick Mahomes' first start in the playoffs? You remember Patrick Mahomes, their first start was against the Indianapolis Colts, which is very ironic given this organization's history against the Indianapolis Colts. Do you remember anything about that game? Does anything stand out to you? Is there a play, a moment, a memory? Do you remember anything from that game?
So no, nothing about the game. The only memory I have of that game is the day. Is because Kansas City got like a giant. Remember that blizzard we had a few weeks ago? Kansas City had a snowstorm of that level the morning of that game. So I remember it being very wet, nasty, and the day was just snowy. But the actual game itself, I don't know. I remember the final score off the top of my head. It just seemed very ho-hum.
I don't think a lot of people remember that game because nothing memorable happened. And of all the Chiefs' playoff memories that they've had, that game is probably at the bottom, which is kind of crazy given the fact that the Chiefs won their first home playoff game in many people's lifetime, at least that you've got an opportunity to see. No one talks about that game. Nobody remembers that game. That's how I want this one to be. I want this game to be boring. You want to know why we talk about the game against Houston the last time these two teams played each other in the postseason? It's because you got down 24-0. You want to know why people talk about the Cleveland game? It's because Patrick Mahomes got hurt in that game. Why do people talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars divisional round game? It was because Patrick Mahomes got hurt. I want this game to be boring. I don't want anything memorable to happen in this. The Chiefs win this game, stay healthy, and move on. That's all that matters. You don't need to get down big early in this game. Let's get out of this with no injuries. Don't do anything that Houston could potentially derail history from happening. I want this game to be boring. I want this game to be a 40-degree day. Those of you that get the reference get it. There doesn't need to be anything memorable. There doesn't need to be any talking points. None of those things. Now, I saw a stat from Scott Kazmar that is one of the best NFL writers that is out there. When the Chiefs have had Patrick Mahomes healthy from start to finish in their playoff opener, this is what they've done. In that game against the Colts, you want to know why you don't remember that game? They beat the Colts 31-13. We don't really talk about those kind of games in playoff lore when you pummel a team the way that Kansas City pummeled Indianapolis. Houston, that divisional round game, they got down big. The only reason we talk about that game is the first half deficit because they won that game by 20. They played the Steelers in the postseason. They beat them 42-21. Do you remember anything from that Steelers home game? They played the Dolphins last year. The only reason we talk about that Dolphins game is because it was negative 19 degrees outside. There was nothing really memorable for the game to discuss. When Kansas City has been healthy and Patrick Mahomes has been healthy in these games against playoff teams, not Super Bowl caliber teams, but playoff teams, they dominate those teams. They dominated the Colts. They dominated the Texans, the Steelers back in 2021. They haven't won a playoff game since 2016. They are not a Super Bowl contending team. And last year's Dolphins team that we talked about a lot last season, that Dolphins team beat up on a lot of bad teams and showed that they couldn't really stand up to somebody in their own weight class. That is what I expect Kansas City to do this weekend with a fully healthy, fully well-rested, at-home Kansas City Chiefs team that played this team less than a month ago. I expect to see them go out there and continue what we saw the last month of the season. Keep this game boring. This game doesn't need to be eventful. This doesn't need to be a game that we ever talk about in Patrick Mahomes' career. The Chiefs are too good for this. Houston is too banged up, I think, for that to be the case. The only way that happens is if an injury happens, and that's something that you can't control, or you play down to Houston's level and you open the door and allow them a possibility of being able to walk through and pull off the upset. Coming up on the other side, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go through all 4 games in the playoffs, and we're going to give you a 2-leg parlay for each of those games. I know people, Nick Wright, who thinks that this is the best weekend in the National Football League, so we want to get you ready for it. Keep it right here. It's The Drive on 96.5 The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
This weekend only at Old Navy, score $15 jeans for adults and $10 jeans for kids. That's denim for the entire fam. $15 jeans for adults, $10 jeans for kids this Saturday and Sunday only at Old Navy. Valid 1/18 and 19, select styles only.
So we got a big weekend in college football, also with the pros, and you want to make sure that you're at a place that has great food specials, great drink specials, and also enough TVs that you never miss a second of the action. Stop by any one of the area 5 other places, and they got great game day specials tomorrow when you want to check out the pro team. They got a 14-inch 2-topping pizza for $12. They got 8 wings and a basket of tots for $12, $4 domestics. They also have one of the best game day experiences. And if you can't head out to the stadium tomorrow, it is the best game day atmosphere and the next best thing to going out there yourself and watching the home team play. It's Carrington from The Drive here telling you that tomorrow when you're figuring out where you want to watch the game, make sure you stop by the other place.
Casey's has 8 new coffee roasts that have been described as having rich aromatics that entice any palate. But, we're not sure what that means, so we just call it darn good coffee. It's not crazy. It's Casey's. Get a free any-size coffee with Casey's Rewards. See Casey's Rewards for details.
Have you or a loved one been diagnosed with cancer? You want the most knowledgeable physicians with the latest technology. That's KCPI, the Kansas City Proton Institute. KCPI has a full suite of the most advanced imaging and treatment technology necessary to localize high-intensity proton beams. That's a critical part of maximizing cure rates while minimizing recovery time and long-term side effects. Proton therapy provides patients with the most advanced form of radiation treatments for cancer. It destroys cancer cells with supreme accuracy, reducing the risk of harmful side effects. KCPI has Kansas City's first and only system that uses pencil beam technology, resulting in precision targeting and less radiation to your surrounding healthy tissue. Proton therapy is now available in the comfort of an office at KCPI, making it more efficient and affordable than a hospital. So contact KCPI for the most knowledgeable physicians with the latest technology. Don't wait. Get precision technology with the highest safety measures with KCPI. Online at kcpi.com. Brew Brothers at Harris, Kansas City, now open. Dine on mouth-watering appetizers, then feast on one of our 6 American Wagyu burgers, including the Bacon Jam Burger and Blazing Burger. Wash it down with your favorite ice-cold beverage, all while watching the game on one of our 45 TVs. Dine in or carry out. Brew Brothers at Harris, Kansas City always hits the spot. Brew Brothers and Brew Brothers Express are now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-BETS-OFF.
Here's a riddle for you. What do yoga mats, a toothbrush, and a Hyundai have in common? I'll give you a moment. Time's up. If you guess they're all fun, well-designed, and super useful, you guessed wrong. The answer is you can order all of those things on Amazon. That's right. You can now buy a Hyundai on Amazon. The same place where you order yoga mats, a toothbrush, and pretty much everything else, all from the comfort of your home. And the best part? You won't even have to break down a car-sized Amazon box after, because you'll pick up your Hyundai at the dealer. I mean, picture this. You're in your PJs, snugged in on your couch, you pull up Amazon on your phone and start the process right there. Just locate a nearby dealer, pick your color, your options, check the price, and with a few dotting of some I's and crossing of some T's, voila, your Hyundai is ready for pickup. It's that easy. Just remember to put on some real clothes before you head over. Will you? Hyundai, now available on Amazon. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details. Limited availability. Only through participating Hyundai dealers in select markets.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Dusty Likens, and in case you didn't already know, I'm here to tell you that you can watch all the shows here on 96.5 The Fan across all our social media channels. That's right. If you want to see our smiling faces as we talk about the best sports fans and teams in the country, subscribe to our YouTube channel or watch on Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch. Wake up with us, eat lunch with us, and go home with us. Your home for Kansas City sports, 96.5 The Fan.
This afternoon, expect mostly sunny skies with a high of 51.
Weather brought to you by Staples. Your local Staples store has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. Save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
Make sure to follow The Drive on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
So coming up at the top of the hour, we'll get back to Chiefs and Texans. But let me tell you that our weekly parlays are brought to you by Twin Peaks, where you can eat, drink, and see the scenic views. A great place to catch some football this weekend. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to give you our thoughts on all 4 of the playoff games that we have this weekend. We're also going to give you a 2-leg parlay for every game. So if you want to go on FanDuel, you want to play these, you want to go on DraftKings, wherever you place your bet, we want to try to help you put a little bit of cash in your pocket. Before you know it, the playoffs are going to be over. You're going to look up and it's going to be Valentine's Day and you're going to be wondering, what am I going to get my lady thing? Well, you know what, man? Let's take some of these playoff winnings and let's go ahead and take care of her gift now so you don't got to worry about it. Hit me with the music. The Chiefs are currently 8.5-point favorites in their game against the Houston Texans. The over-under is set at 41.5. I would probably stay away from the line just because the Chiefs do not have a great history and track record of covering. But in this game, I don't know if you can take a team in the points unless you're confident in them winning. And I'm not very confident in Houston winning this game. So I'm going to take the Chiefs minus 8.5, but I think that there's other value that's out there. So what I'm going to put for my leg of the parlay, this is actually one of my favorite bets this weekend in the entire NFL playoffs. I'm taking the over on DeAndre Hopkins. You can get it right now at 31.5. I'm going to take the over on D-Hop. He has played 10 games for the Chiefs. He would have hit over in 7 of those games. I think that the Chiefs have kind of been waiting for this moment for DeAndre Hopkins. Against his former team, fully rested, I think D-Hop has a decent day. Give me the over on DeAndre Hopkins. That's my leg for the parlay.
I'm going to stay in the same lane as you with my leg of the parlay. Carrington, I'm going to bet it because I believe in it, and it has been cashing every year. Playoff Travis Kelce is a thing. Vegas, based on their number, doesn't seem to believe in it, but the guy led the team in targets and snaps among offensive weapons. He is going to be on the field and going to be targeted a lot on Saturday, and he is on 2 weeks of rest. His number right now is 51.5. If you believe playoff Travis Kelce is a thing, that number is disrespectful to his career. I believe I was wrong last year. Fool me once. I didn't think playoff Travis Kelce was a thing. I'm not getting fooled twice. I will take Travis Kelce's over of 51.5.
If you play both of those things together, you can get it at plus 246 right now on the FanDuel app if that parlay you want to play. All right, let's move to the second game of the weekend. We have the Washington Commanders. They go on the road to take on the Lions. The Lions are 9.5-point favorites. I think you need to take the Lions minus the 9.5. In actuality, you probably split and go 1-1. If you take the Chiefs and the Lions, one of those road teams probably ends up making the game a little bit more competitive. I do think at some point we'll find a little bit more balance in this NFL playoffs. It has not had much of it so far. Vegas thinks there's going to be a lot of points in this game. The over-under is at 55.5. I actually like the under in that one because I think the Lions defense is actually going to play pretty well. I think the Lions defense needed a little bit of a rest, needed a little bit of a break. I thought they played pretty well against Minnesota in their last game, and it's one thing to do that against Tampa Bay if you're Washington. You're now going to go on the road to Detroit that might have the best home field advantage of any team in these playoffs. I think the Lions do very well defensively against Washington. So for my leg of the parlay, I'm going to take the under on total points for the Commanders. Their over-under is at 22.5 by themselves. themselves. I'm going to take the under. I think the Lions are going to hold the Commanders under 21 points.
So, while the parlay, Carrington, David Montgomery is back. And understandably so. We have been very focused on the Chiefs game and then secondarily the Ravens and Bills game. It's the AFC. It's Kansas City. I get how this works. But one of the storylines that I don't think we've talked about enough in the NFL playoffs this week is David Montgomery being back for the Lions. They have the best 1-2 rushing combination in football. Period. End of discussion. When both those guys are healthy, they are a big-time problem. What do they call themselves? Sonic and Knuckles? Elite nickname. David Montgomery is back. They usually feed the beast. He gets a lot of the short yardage touchdown runs. If you're a fantasy football player, you hate him because he's a touchdown vulture for Jamar Gibbs. He's back. I like him to get a touchdown for the Lions on Saturday night.
If you play that parlay, you can get that at plus 197. So a quick little triple up possibility if you want to play that parlay. Let's move to Sunday's action in the NFL playoffs. The Eagles are 6.5-point favorites against the Rams. You guys know I've been telling you this. I love the Rams plus the 6.5, but that's not going to be part of my parlay. You know what? I am going to take Kyren Williams. He is plus 100 right now for an anytime touchdown. You were telling me one of the best touchdown machines this year in the National Football League. I don't got to pay any juice on if you think he's going to score or not. Yes, I will take that value. I think that's one of the better value bets of the entire weekend. Kyren Williams, no juice, plus 100 to score a touchdown. I'm throwing that in any parlay for him to score.
So, have you seen the weather this week in Philadelphia?
It's supposed to be nasty.
Nasty. I mentioned that blizzard between Colts and Chiefs earlier in the show. It has that sort of feel. Rain, snow. They expect accumulation on the field during the game. You know what that smells like to me? Ground and pound from the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts has been, since returning from his concussion, a spotty passer at best. Our boss, Steven Spector, thinks Jalen Hurts stinks. I wouldn't go that far, but he is more runner right now than he is passer, and the weather definitely favors running the football. His passing yards over under right now is 204.5. If the weather is nasty and you have Saquon Barkley in the backfield and you can dominate the line of scrimmage, why would you throw in that weather? A.J. Brown, bring your book because I'm taking the under for Jalen Hurts passing yards at 204.
If you play that together as a parlay, you can get that at plus 287. I also like the Rams to cover. I actually am taking the Rams on the money line. I think the Rams are going to go into Philadelphia and pull off the upset this weekend. All right, the last game of the weekend. It is the Ravens. It is the Bills. This is going to be the most watched game in the NFL up to this point. It's going to do better than the games on Thanksgiving. You are going to see, I think, an AFC Championship light kind of number from these two teams. The Ravens are minus 1.5. I would take the Bills on the money line. It's plus 100, no juice. They're the home team. I would take the Bills on the money line to win this game. But I do think that the best value in this is if you think Baltimore is going to win or you think Baltimore is going to be committed to running the football and you think it's going to be points because Vegas thinks it's going to be points at 51.5 over under, then the smart play is a Lamar Jackson anytime touchdown at plus 180. You know that they're going to try to emphasize the big dogs. Henry's going to be involved in the game plan. Lamar Jackson's going to be involved in the game plan. No Zay Flowers, so I'm not really sure how involved the passing game is going to be. And Lamar Jackson had 16 rush attempts last year. I think one of those could potentially go in the end zone. Give me Lamar Jackson plus 180 to score a touchdown this weekend.
You hinted at my leg of the parlay right there at the beginning. If you believe the Bills can win this game, screw the points, take them on the money line. We've been talking for 5 days. Can Lamar beat the allegations about being bad in the playoffs? He can do it against the Tennessee Titans during a COVID year. He can do it against the hapless Steelers. He can do it against a rookie quarterback last year in C.J. Stroud. He has not won a game like this. He's lost in Buffalo before in the postseason. He's lost to Kansas City in the postseason. He lost to Derrick Henry in the postseason. This is the type of game Lamar loses. I'm getting Josh Allen at home in one of the more raucous environments in the National Football League. If Arrowhead is 1-1 and we say Lambeau is 2 as far as raucous environments, Highmark Stadium in Buffalo is probably top 5. Those people are lunatics. So don't waste your time on the points. You don't need them. Take the Bills on the money line. That's my leg of the parlay.
If you play that parlay together, it is plus 485. So that is our biggest parlay for the weekend. Hopefully you guys catched it. Just trying to help you guys win a little bit of money. We'll get back to the playoffs coming up in just a bit, but I just saw this come across my timeline. They're making another O.J. Simpson documentary on Netflix. Bro, we don't need no more documentaries about O.J. Simpson. I'm sorry. We don't need it. We already have the OJ documentary. They did a 10-hour one on ESPN. Everybody did it. Everybody signed up for it. We don't need any more OJ Simpson documentaries. I'm sorry. There's some things that we have the definitive body of work. You don't need to do a Chicago Bulls documentary. There's no story you can tell us that we haven't already heard. We've heard them all. Leave it alone. OJ Simpson. It's over. We have the O.J. Simpson documentary. If you want to spend your effort trying to do it, do the same thing for Michael Jordan, for Tiger Woods. That's the energy that you need to have. We need the definitive Tiger Woods documentary. Get Tiger in it, get Phil in it, get Fuzzy Zeller, get everybody in Tiger Woods' life to sign up to do The Last Dance. That's the only documentary you guys need to be working on over on Netflix. Coming up at the top of the hour, let's continue to get you ready for the divisional round of the playoffs. You're listening on 96.5 The Fan, also streaming the show on YouTube.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for K-State Athletics, 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, appears every week on 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, Inc. GEHA is a proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs.
If you're hearing this, you're in Chiefs Kingdom, the land of champions. And what do champions do? They win. Play the world champions Kansas City Chiefs instant ticket from the Kansas Lottery for a chance to win up to $75,000. Or enter your tickets into the Play On app for a chance to win one-of-a-kind Chiefs experiences. Because the only thing better than winning is winning again. See kslottery.com for details.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. Get the savings you want on America's largest 5G network. Visit T-Mobile.com/choice55 and start saving today.
Your skin tells a story. At KMC Dermatology and Med Spa, we understand that stress, time, and life can leave their mark, but it's never too late to refresh, renew, and restore your skin. With 25 expert providers across multiple locations, we make glowing skin easy. Same week appointments? Absolutely. Select Saturday appointments available? You got it. From medical dermatology to advanced aesthetic treatments, we're here to help you look and feel your best. Schedule your appointment today at kmcpa.com. KMC Dermatology and Med Spa, beyond the surface.
Always still look at myself as a high-performing athlete, even at 40 years old. And so I want to go able to run fast and do things that I could 15 and 20 years ago. And it was getting to the point where the pain was starting to limit that.
Pain attacks people from all walks of life, not just former professional athletes like Bobby Carpenter. That's where QC Kinetics non-surgical treatment steps in.
And now that the pain is gone, I've been able to go and do the stuff that I love and run fast and run sprints and try to get back to where I was.
QC Kinetics regenerative treatments use your body's own healing properties to deliver long-term relief without surgery.
Now, being able to go and work out and do the stuff that I want to do and challenge my body, it's made me a better person, a more pleasant person to be around.
Don't wait. Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation today. QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
This is an announcement to all United States vehicle owners who own a 2003 or newer vehicle with a manufacturer's warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all. With a struggling economy and the cost of living on the rise, Endurance is now offering an affordable, low-cost vehicle coverage plan to the general public. As of today, you could be one of millions of drivers that now may qualify to have your vehicle protected under this coverage and have all future covered auto repairs paid directly to the repair shop for you. You pick your plan. You pick your deductible. You even pick the repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental coverage is included. Get your vehicle protected now and save your wallet from costly vehicle repairs. A toll-free number has been established for you to call for your free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number to call is 800-298-9539. 800-298-9539. Again, that's 800-298-9539.
Protect yourself. Get the updated COVID-19 vaccine and your flu shot at the same time at Hy-Vee. That's right, you can save time and get your COVID-19 and flu shot at the same time. Schedule your updated COVID-19 vaccine and flu shot online today, or just stop by any Hy-Vee pharmacy whenever it's convenient for you. No appointment necessary. Plus, when you get your flu shot at Hy-Vee, earn a 20-cent fuel saver. Your Hy-Vee pharmacy is here to help you and your family stay healthy. Some restrictions apply.
Chiefs coverage is brought to you by Shamrock Roofing and Construction. ShamrockRoofer.com.
Hey folks, it's Karen from Shamrock Roofing and Construction. Thank you for making Shamrock Roofing one of the top 30 roofing companies in the nation. We're family owned and ready to help you with your roof today. Inspect, repair, replace. One call does it all at Shamrock Roofing. Visit ShamrockRoofer.com.
You can listen to the play-by-play of the Chiefs and Texans Divisional Round playoff game with Mitch, Danon, and Kling right here on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
We got asked this question on the text line, and I think it is a good question. If the Chiefs weren't planning on playing DJ Humphries, what was the point of going to get him? Well, let's talk about this question a little bit. Number one is depth. An injury can happen. It's football. If there's any fan base that knows that an injury can happen that can wreck your season at the tackle position, it's you guys. I don't want to spend too much time at least explaining that point. I think you guys know. So if something goes wrong, knock on wood, certainly don't want anything to go wrong, but if something goes wrong, a healthy DJ Humphries is willing to come in and help at left tackle. Maybe something happens to Mike Caliendo. Maybe the injury is not to Joe Thuney. Well, if Caliendo gets hurt, well, that changes the plan. Let's go put DJ Humphries in. Let's move Joe Thuney back to his normal position, and let's go. What I think that signing DJ Humphries gave you was options. Because the Chiefs, I think, pretty clearly told you Kingsley Suamataia is not an option at this position anymore. He's an option at some other things. He's an option in 2026. He's an option for the future. He is not an option for us now. Wanya Morris, there's no scenario in which they were putting Wanya Morris at left tackle against Houston's pass rush. Nope. So, number one, depth, options, possibilities, combinations. You can go out there. And I also think it's important to note, I don't think that this was the original plan. I don't think this was the plan. I think their plan was pretty obvious. They tried left tackle with Kingsley. It didn't work. They tried left tackle with Wanya Morris. It didn't work. Well, what are our options now? Our options are Joe Thuney. I don't think they wanted to do that originally because they went out and they signed DJ Humphries, and they also didn't get him for cheap. They gave him $2 million. DJ Humphries made $2 million to play in one meaningful game for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's a great job. Who's his agent? I want to go figure out a way to make that happen for me. So you went in there, you paid this amount of money. You clearly wanted him to start. He practiced 1 week. You put him out there on a Sunday night football game against a divisional opponent. You wanted DJ Humphries to be your left tackle. An injury happens. You had to adjust. You had to do something at left tackle, and going back to Kingsley Suamataia and going back to Wanya Morris, that was not part of the Chiefs' plan anymore. So they went to their worst-case scenario. Their worst-case scenario was moving Joe Thuney over there and reshuffling the chairs on their offensive line. The Chiefs believe that they have, and I think there's a lot of reasons that the NFL thinks this, that the Chiefs have the best interior offensive line from left guard to right guard combination in the National Football League. I don't think their plan was to break that up and move your left guard, who I think is your best offensive lineman, to move him to the outside and move him at tackle and replace his spot with Mike Caliendo. I don't think that was their plan. But again, an injury happened. You got to adjust. Football is a lot like life. We all have been in this situation. Man, things are going good. Things are going great with your job. Things are going great with your girl. Your kids are doing well. You're having a fantastic job at work. Everything is going well. And then something happens to your car, and now you got to deal with it. Now your kid's sick. You got to deal with it. That's life. That's what happens in football. You are never going to have it, or very rarely are you going to have it where everything is going great. No, somebody's going to be injured. Somebody's going to drop a pass. Somebody's going to miss an assignment. A penalty is going to happen that takes a first down off the board, and now it makes it 2nd and 15, and now you got to try to go get the first down again. The Chiefs are the best team in the National Football League at adjusting. They're the best. You lose your number 1 wide receiver. All right, we got to figure out another plan. Let's go trade for one. Let's go pick up DeAndre Hopkins. Well, we don't have a left tackle. Well, what can we do? Let's go out. Let's go get DJ Humphries. Well, we lose our running back. Well, what are we going to do? Let's go see if Kareem Hunt. Let's check the temperature. Let's see how his attitude is. Let's see if he makes a lot of sense. Let's see if he's a good signing. The Chiefs have shown you pretty routinely there is no better team in the NFL at being able to adjust on the fly. It's easy to win when everything is going great. How do you win when an injury happens? How do you win when a penalty, when a drop, when something changes what your plan is? I think the Chiefs had the plan of going with DJ Humphries. Their plan changed along the way because an injury happens. That's life. Let me play this for you guys. This is Matt Verderame. He joined us on the show earlier in the week. He gave a crazy stat about how favorites dominate the divisional rounds.
I'm not overlooking Houston. I'm not. It's a playoff game. Anything can happen. I actually went back and looked it up. Since the divisional round became a thing in 1967, there have been 83 divisional round games where the spread was over 7 points. In those games, favorites are 65 and 18. They win about 80% of the time. You can lose. You can lose. It happens. But if the Chiefs don't give the game away, they're not losing this game. Even if they're a little rusty, even if they've got to figure some things out, they're better. They're better on all 3 phases of the game. They have a better coaching staff. And I think the Texans have a good staff, but the Chiefs' staff's probably the best in football. They're better. They may not cover. Maybe it's one of those things where they win 26-20 or something.
If the Texans win Saturday, it will be one of the biggest upsets in the last decade in the National Football League. The Chiefs are at home. They're fully rested. They're battle-tested. You beat this team a month ago. The Texans are walking in a little bit banged up. Joe Mixon didn't practice a little bit this week. Their left tackle and right tackle missed a day of practice. They don't have Stephon Diggs. They don't have Tank Dell. They've had some other injuries along the way. And I looked up this stat. The last 15 years of the AFC and NFC championship game. So 15 years, 60 teams, right? It's a decent number. There have only been 8 teams that have made the AFC championship game or NFC championship game that won 10 games or fewer. This is what I mean when I say that there is a difference between a Super Bowl team and a playoff team. All you need to do is win 10 games to make the playoffs. If you get the double digits, you are making the postseason. You are going to be one of the 7 or what used to be one of the 6 best teams in the NFL. And you usually, what happens is you do what Houston did. You do what the Commanders did. You win your first game that feels like a coin flip, and now you're about to go on the road and you're about to play arguably the best team in the National Football League. You go on the road and play the Lions that ran through the NFC. You go on the road and you play the Chiefs that have run through the AFC for the last half decade or so. This is usually when your run ends. You had a great run. There's no reason to hang your head. This is like in the NCAA tournament. If you get hot and you're a 7 seed and you make a deep run in the NCAA tournament, but you don't make it to the Final Four because you lose to Connecticut, you lose to Kansas, you lose to Duke, nobody hangs their head. Hey, we had a great run in the tournament. We were a 7 seed. Look, we made a run. Look, we upset this team. We beat this team. We weren't going to the Final Four. That's kind of how I feel about this matchup. That's how I feel about the NFC game between the Lions and the Commanders. The Lions have proven that they are a team that can go win the Super Bowl. The Lions they have looked depleted. They have looked down. They have looked beat up for the last month. Dan Campbell has been running those boys. Well, now you finally get a chance to rest. And if you're a Lions fan, you really got a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So the crowd is energized. And now you that were a 10-11 win team, you got to go on the road and you got to beat that well-rested team. I don't like your chances to do it. If you're the Houston Texans, you got to go on the road after you played last week. You were at home. You had the high emotional win. You now got to go on the road. You got to play Kansas City, a certainly battle-tested playoff team. They're the healthier team. They've got the better coach. They got the better quarterback. They got home field advantage. They're going to have the weather advantage because it's 15 degrees outside. This is a really, really difficult spot. 8 out of the last 60 AFC or NFC championship teams, the final 4 teams in the league, 8 of the 60 have been a team that have won 10 games or fewer in the regular season. Those teams don't advance to this point in the season. Or it just takes something special. You got to be Tennessee that pulls off the upset. You got to be Brock Purdy that kind of comes out of nowhere. You got to be Joe Burrow in his first playoff run, and now you upset a couple of people. You got to be Mark Sanchez that nobody believes in. You got to be a team that really comes out of nowhere and really surprises people. And maybe that's what Houston is. Maybe that's what the Commanders are. Houston's been a playoff team all year. The Commanders have been one of the bigger surprises. Maybe they go on the road and they knock off one of the big dogs. I'm not super hopeful. You just heard the stat from Matt Verderame. 83 games, 65-13. The favorite wins this game 80% of the time. I don't think that Houston can beat Kansas City. I don't think the Commanders can beat the Lions. I think the Lions can play down to their level. I think Kansas City can play down to their level. Football's simple. Football is usually defined by 5 to 8 plays, and you got to win certain stats. How do you perform on third down? Who wins the turnover margin? Do you protect your quarterback? Kansas City did that the first time in their matchup against Houston. They won the first time in their matchup against Houston, and I think that Kansas City is better equipped today than they were less than a month ago whenever they played the Houston Texans. It is going to take a special effort from Houston to go on the road and pull off the upset. They're going to probably need a defensive touchdown. They're probably going to need a big play out of special teams. I also think that they're going to have to force at least 2 turnovers in order to really make this a game where late they got a chance to win it. A fully healthy, well-rested Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid coming off a bye week with time to prepare and get ready for an opponent that you've already seen once and seen their weakness. I think Houston is walking into a really, really dangerous spot on Saturday in the divisional round. Coming up on the other side, we talked a lot about the one AFC divisional round matchup. Let's talk about the other one, which is going to be the game of the weekend, Buffalo and Baltimore. That's coming up. Keep it right here. So drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
On 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are just better with FanDuel because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. Plus, when you win, you'll get paid instantly. All you need to do is visit FanDuel.com/KFNZ. Use that promo code to join today, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/KFNZ. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Can help us your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Rally House, shop every team in town, college and pro. Come on, it's time to go.
It's playoffs time, KC. Rally House has the Chiefs gear you're looking for, including Chiefs official postseason gear and the latest styles fit for the kingdom.
Kansas, Missouri, Kansas State, Chiefs and Royals make KC great. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Gear up in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com, and I look forward to working with you.
Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Presenting Again Fling's love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check your sunroof is closed first before driving through the car wash.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, no. Wait, whoa.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Okay, so that's with bacon, cheese, lettuce, tomato, grilled onions, ketchup, and hold the pickles.
You know what you like. You wouldn't order your burger just any way. Why should your sports talk be any different? With Chapters on the free Odyssey app, you can choose the topics that matter to you most. Whether it's reactions, matchup previews, injury updates, or team news, quickly find what you really care about. Your football talk, your way. Download the free Odyssey app and start listening today.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. Visit eatandys.com to find the location nearest you. Top your day with a smile.
Let me tell you about my good friend Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from Kansas City, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Tailgate with a pick six, or grab a freshly made custom treat before or after a game. And tell him Mitch and Andy sent you.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
This traffic is brought to you by Turnpoint Services. Got some emergency vehicles, westbound 435, just before 103rd Street. It's tending to a collision, and they've got that right lane closed, and a collision clearing out on the Kansas side, southbound 635, just past 70. Money-back guarantees and parts and labor warranties mean you aren't just buying products, you're securing your investment. For a limited time, receive a free furnace when you purchase an AC. Schedule your complimentary proposal online at anthonyphc.com. From the Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric Traffic Center, I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on 96.5 The Fan and the Odyssey app.
Welcome back into The Drive on 96.5 The Fan. You can also stream the show on Twitch and YouTube. We'll get back to the Chiefs coming up in just a bit, but let's get to the other game in the AFC in the Divisional Round. I think this has a chance to be one of the better games of the year in the National Football League. You have the Ravens, you have the Bills. Those two teams are set to play on Sunday night. Let's head to the phone lines right now to be joined by Cordell Woodland. He covers the Ravens for 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore. Cordell, man, happy to have you join us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Just take us through what the vibe is, what the energy is, what the atmosphere is like after Baltimore goes on the road and dominates a team that has oddly given them a lot of grief over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, it's definitely a business-like attitude, but they're relaxed. They're loose. They've done a really good job, even last week going into that Pittsburgh game, which I think in some ways was a little more stressful because, that's a team that they're seeing for the third time this year. So it's their division rival. Wacky things happen when those two teams are on the same field together. And if we're being honest, that's a game that they could not lose, because now you're in uncharted territory in terms of some of the narratives and some of the things that'll be said, even in terms of John Harbaugh's job. So I think them winning that game really helped ease their minds a little bit going into this next one. And it'll obviously be a tougher contest against a much better team out in Buffalo. The Ravens aren't putting a lot of stock into that 35-10 win over Buffalo in Week 4, and rightfully so. Both of these teams are different. I think they're going in there in their minds just ready for a dogfight.
I feel like the Ravens offensively did exactly what they wanted to in the game against Pittsburgh. Lamar threw it 21 times. They ran it 50 times as a team, and they were dominant. Derrick Henry had 186 yards and 2 scores. Lamar Jackson had 81 yards rushing. I feel like when the Ravens are their best, I feel like their offensive game flow feels a lot like it felt last week.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what they want to do, is dominate in the trenches, and that's what they did. And that's not an easy thing to do against that Pittsburgh team that lives off of physicality of their own. They've got a guy in Cam Hayward sitting in the middle of that defense. He's not an easy guy to move. So they take a lot of pride in establishing a run and establishing that physicality level that they feel like teams can't meet. But, last year, the big question, especially in that AFC Championship game, was why aren't the Ravens running the ball? Why didn't they stick to the run game? Why didn't they stick to their identity? I really don't think that's going to be the case this year with Derrick Henry back there. They have no choice but to run the ball when you have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in that backfield, and they've been so good at doing it, specifically after the bye week. So, yeah, last game went exactly according to plan, and look, it helps that Pittsburgh's offense is kind of non-exempt these days.
Yeah, I was wondering that. That's one of my big questions, and we'll get to what my other question is Baltimore going to be – are they going to be diligent in running the football? You mentioned the AFC Championship game last year. Lamar had 8 carries. Gus Edwards had 3 carries. Justice Hill had 3 carries. I felt like they tried to out-Chiefs the Chiefs, and they ended up losing that way. This needs to be a team that tries to run the ball 30, 45 times this weekend and tries to keep Lamar's pass attempts below 30. Do you think that Baltimore is prepared to play that kind of postseason game? Because usually that's what's gotten them in trouble in the playoffs is they get away from their formula.
Yeah, I do. I think that they're, equipped to do that now because you have arguably the best running back in football in Derrick Henry. And I've been saying this a lot, the league wasn't created with the idea that any team would ever have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the same backfield. Nobody ever thought that that's what they would have to deal with in the postseason. So, they're going to challenge teams to stop the run and probably more than stop the run. You're going to have to really almost shut the run game down or at least force them into a lot of passing down situations. The Ravens do kind of help teams out with their penalties. They're the most penalized team in the league, a lot of pre-snap penalties, so that could be a factor. But if they're able to stay on schedule, I just don't really see a scenario where they'll be forced to get out of their game plan. And make no mistake about it, I don't think that they're afraid to throw the ball. Lamar, he led the league in the passer rating this year, so he's as efficient as they come in terms of throwing the ball and running the ball. They feel comfortable winning either way. But make no mistake, it all leans on the run game, and they want to emphasize that for sure.
What do you make of the conversation regarding the weather for this game? I feel like the Ravens have played cold weather games. I don't really know why this is popping up. Like it's going to bother the Ravens, but it's not going to bother the Bills. It's a silly conversation to me. I imagine you guys have had it in Baltimore. What are people saying?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And a lot of, the people that I've spoken to, are on the same page. Both teams have to play in it. There's nobody out there that loves playing in that weather. It's an adjustment to everybody, whether you're a cold weather team or not. And both of these teams are cold weather teams. Obviously, Buffalo is a little more, on a different level than what we get here in Baltimore. But, it's the same conditions that both teams have to play in. So ball security will be at a premium. And the good thing is both of these teams have done a really good job of taking care of the ball this year. So I really don't think that the weather will be a huge impact. Now, I will say special teams-wise, I think it'll affect the kicking. Especially if there's wind going on. Justin Tucker hasn't been great this year. They haven't really needed him a lot, especially after the Week 14 bye. He's only had 3 field goals since the bye week. So I don't really think the weather will impact the offenses. The special teams, I could definitely see it impacting them.
Right now, we're talking to Cordell Woodland, who covers the Ravens, for just a little bit. All right, give me your Ravens win-if scenario. Give me your Bills win-if scenario.
Well, the Ravens win if they're going to run the ball the way that they did back in Week 4. This has, it's not a great matchup for Buffalo. They're not the biggest team on the defensive side of the ball. They're a team that likes to come out in the nickel. They want to play with speed. They want to, try to force turnovers in the pass game, but they're not necessarily built to stop the run game. And that was evident when Derrick Henry ran for almost 200 yards on them in the first matchup. So I think if the Ravens do that, I don't really see anybody beating them if they're running the ball the way that they have. I think the Bills are able to find a way to win if the penalties really turn out to be a problem for the Ravens, because, like I mentioned, that has been their Achilles heel all year, the penalties. If we get to the back end of this game and the Ravens have somewhere between 9 to 12 penalties and about close to 100 penalty yards, I could see that being a huge factor in this game. And if Josh Allen is able to get some of those vintage Josh Allen plays, both of these quarterbacks make their living off extended plays and holding the ball forever and finding somebody wide open down the field. If Josh Allen's going to go out there and be the better quarterback, I think that'll be their best chance to win.
That is Cordell Woodland joining us on the show today. He's with 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore. Cordell, man, always appreciate your time. Thanks for popping on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That is Cordell Woodland joining us on the show. That was the road team perspective. Let's get the home team perspective. Jeremy White of WGR in Buffalo joins us on the show today. Jeremy, what is it like to be told basically all week that the Bills have no chance of stopping Derrick Henry? Hey, Jeremy, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, trying to get you. Good to go.
No problem, man. We're happy right now to be joined by Jeremy White of WGR in Buffalo. No, I was asking you, what is it like to be told for basically all week that you guys have no chance of stopping Derrick Henry?
It's been wild. I don't know. Like every day that goes by, the offensive line of the Ravens gets 100 pounds heavier at every position, and Henry gets 10 feet taller every single day. And the Ravens are undefeated and have never lost a game, right? I mean, the way people are talking up this Baltimore team that did lose 5 games is like they are unstoppable. And if they do beat the Bills, I think Kansas City, they might even get the same treatment because Baltimore has a lot of people impressed right now.
Yeah, I'm picking Buffalo to win this game, and a lot of it comes down to I've seen Lamar in playoff games. I've seen Josh Allen in playoff games. And the right side to be on is to usually be on the side of the quarterback you think is going to play the best. And I think that quarterback is going to be Josh Allen. It's weird to say for a team that I think has been one of the 3 best teams in the NFL this year. Kansas City 1, Detroit 2, and I would say Buffalo 3. It's weird to feel like Buffalo's been kind of disrespected in this matchup.
I think it comes down to star power. Like people just don't really trust their offense, and I do think that's a little bit justified. I mean, I'm even a little bit nervous. Can they continue to find the perfect formula like they have pretty much since that Ravens game back in September? They lost that game. They lose to Houston the next week, and after that, rattled off a bunch of wins in a row, beat Kansas City, beat Detroit, all the way up to the Rams game that they lost while scoring 42. So the offense had struggles early, and that's just a different team. And each and every week they've had answers. So I think they've got a great chance to win this game. And in terms of like the quarterback conversation, I think the two men with the most pressure are Lamar Jackson and Sean McDermott. And it's because they kind of live the same life, which is they're great. And then in the playoffs, they're not as good. And one of those two is going to try to shed that this week, or maybe successfully do so, because Bills fans need a big performance from their defensive head coach, from their defensive coordinator, Bobby Babich, because almost every year in the playoffs, the defense has let them down.
Which of the two rushing options do you think is more important to stop? Do you think it's Derrick Henry or Lamar? Because Lamar maybe won't have the totals that Derrick Henry does, but you know how Lamar is. He'll just beat you on a 3rd and 11. You feel like you got everything covered up, and then Lamar just scrambles out of nowhere, gets 15 yards, and extends the drive.
It's probably Henry. They've done a pretty good job of bottling up Lamar whenever they do play him. It's never been a game where he runs and throws all over them. Henry, on the other hand, is a different story because I saw a stat this week where he gets 5 yards past the line of scrimmage without any contact, and he averages 24 yards on those carries. So the Bills have to make sure they get to him quickly. Don't let him get any sort of momentum, any sort of head of steam. And that's where it'll be different for the Bills because the game they played in Baltimore in September, they didn't have any of their linebackers, basically, that will play in this game. Matt Milano will play. Terrell Bernard will play. Taron Johnson, the slot corner who plays in their base defense an awful lot, he will play. All 3 of them missed that game in Baltimore. So the mission to stop Derrick Henry, they'll probably play 3 linebackers, a lot more than they ever do. They have shown they're willing to do that against Baltimore in the past, and I would expect a lot of that again on Sunday.
From an offensive perspective, everybody knows what Josh Allen is capable of. You also would have to expect that James Cook is going to play well in order for them to win. Who else on this team? Are you looking at this being a Dalton Kincaid game? Do you think that Keon Coleman can step up and have a difference? We know about those first 2 guys in the run game. Who needs to help in the pass game?
Well, if it's a Dalton Kincaid game, it might be the first one ever. I mean, Kincaid's been a fine player, but here's a fun stat for you. The Bills had 9 different players lead them in receiving in a game this year, and Kincaid never did it once. There's not really any breakouts for him. He is a reliable player, but, a 100-yard game for Kincaid, I mean, that's just not anything we ever really see. The guy I'm looking for, Amari Cooper is a big player here, of course, and Khalil Shakir, but as we've gotten closer and closer to the playoffs and even started into the playoffs, I think Keon Coleman has an important role here. He always gets single coverage. He plays bully ball. He doesn't separate, but he can win on the outside. And in the first matchup, they threw to him a bunch of times. He had a drop. He had a couple of catches. So I end up thinking that Keon Coleman could be a big, big factor in this game for them.
Are you guys happy with the Amari Cooper trade? Just thinking at it from a Kansas City perspective, he was a name that I really wanted. They ended up getting DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins has been everything that Kansas City wanted him to be, and they got him for a 5th-round pick. In Buffalo, are you guys happy with what you've gotten from Amari Cooper?
Yeah, it's results-based. Since they made the trade, they've lost a game, basically. So things were dire before they got him. And he came in and missed a couple of games, and Keon Coleman missed a couple of games. I don't think it's any sort of perfect relationship where he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season, and our conversations about whether or not he comes back are, who knows? I mean, coin toss would have to kind of be cheap. So he's not had huge games. The only game he got a bunch of targets in, which it's usually 3 targets, 2 targets, 5 targets max, except that Ram game, he got 14. So I've been wondering if ever there's a game script where they need to lean into one receiver because they've got one guy that can win. If Cooper would be that, and against Baltimore, I guess that's possible. But it's gone okay. It lines up right with when they actually turned their season around and started playing well offensively. So you kind of just chalk it up to he gives them matchups that they like a little bit better. But he's not been a massive part of production.
Right now, we're talking to Jeremy White of WGR in Buffalo for a couple more minutes here, getting his thoughts on the big matchup this weekend between the Bills and the Ravens. You could feel the tension through the television last year between Kansas City and Buffalo. Taylor Swift is there. Jason Kelsey is there. Kansas City finally comes to Buffalo. You could feel that place was on 11. How would you compare last year's divisional round hype and excitement to this year's divisional round now with the Ravens coming to town?
Well, it's going to be pretty intense. I mean, Bills fans and Ravens fans have gone at it all year about the MVP and Josh or Lamar and Josh or Lamar. It's been nonstop. No one can escape it in the entire country. The MVP conversation this year took a life of its own. So, you get a game for it to decide last man standing and who gets the right to go to the AFC Championship game. So I feel like the intensity will be ramped up. Just driving around town, stopping by businesses, stores are closing for the game. It's like Texas high school football. And if you got a kid that's got practice, like that practice is canceled. The town's going to shut down and all eyes will be on it. So it's also the hurdle the Bills have needed to clear since 13 seconds. They lose in this round every year. It's about to be a 4th in a row. And, it's been a little bit of a surprise season for the Bills being this good in a transition year. But all that good grace might go out the window when they hit their head on the same ceiling if they ultimately do.
I know that there's some differences in this analogy, but this feels like the year that USC played Texas, where Reggie Bush won the Heisman, but Vince Young is kind of sitting there and they're about to match up in the national championship game. And ultimately that is going to determine who should have won the Heisman Trophy. I am with you that whoever wins this game, maybe Lamar wins it, maybe Josh Allen, but whoever wins this, that should be the MVP.
Yeah. Every time we have the conversation, there'd be a lot of, well, when we find out who the MVP is, which is between the championship game and the Super Bowls, hopefully our guy is still playing and we don't care about that. It seems like a consolation prize. It seems a little bit like a Mr. Congeniality prize. I mean, they've both been chasing the Chiefs forever, and because only the Chiefs seem to represent the AFC, it's almost like this has become another way to validate these two quarterbacks. And Lamar already has two, and Allen doesn't have any. So Bills fans have this feeling that he's definitely good enough to have warranted something, some sort of acknowledgement, an award, a trip to the Super Bowl, anything. So I know it's not exactly in line with the consolation prize, but I do feel like there's a lot of that to this, that Bills fans want him to have something. They think he is good enough. And, you know, whether it's a Super Bowl appearance or an MVP, they're waiting for something for Allen.
Last thing here, give me your Bills win if scenario. Give me your Ravens win if scenario.
The Bills win if they are able to punch the ball free, jump on a loose ball. They got a fumble from Lamar in the first game. When temperatures get as cold as it's going to be, the ball is loose a little bit more. It's harder to hold on to. And they've made a living this year punching the ball free. They led the league in forced fumbles, and that's kind of how their defense lived, was by the turnover. So if they can do that, I think they'll be okay. They've not been great forcing punts this year and just making stops. I'd love it if they did, but I kind of feel like that might be a big ask. And the Ravens win if they just kind of stay ahead of the sticks and stay on schedule and keep the pressure on this Bills offense to match them step for step. So it's a coin toss, and Bills fans more than anything are waiting to see if their head coach has anything special to cook up in the postseason, because he really hasn't ever, outside of the last time the Ravens were here and they won in the divisional round, to go to the AFC Championship. That's 2020.
That is Jeremy White joining us on the show today. He does fantastic work for WGR in Buffalo, getting you ready for the big-time matchup Sunday night, Bills and Ravens. I know this, Jeremy, just as a neutral observer, I'm excited to see one of these teams come to Kansas City next week, and that's how it should be. Kansas City gets to play Houston. You guys have to go up against each other, and you got to go on the road to try to beat Kansas City to see if you can go to the Super Bowl. I'm really excited about the next 2 weeks in the AFC.
Well, I hope to be on your show next week, and I'll be giving you a call.
Absolutely. That is our guy, Jeremy White, joining us on the show today. Appreciate his time getting you ready for the matchup coming up this weekend between the Chiefs or not the Chiefs and the Bills, the Bills and the Ravens. Maybe next week we get the Chiefs and the Bills. I do want to give you guys this stat. Rob and I looked this up. Out of the last 20 years in the postseason, there has only been 4 years in which the AFC 1 and 2 seed and the NFC 1 and 2 seed have all advanced to the Final Four, the last 4 teams of the playoffs. So only 4 times in the last 20 years do you get the 4 best teams in the league playing in the AFC and NFC championship game. Somebody's losing this weekend. That's what history tells you. The same way that we say before the season that somebody who was in last place is going to win their division. That's what history tells you. History tells you that, hey, all 4 of these home teams are not winning this weekend. I think that Buffalo is winning. I do think that they're going to pull off this upset, so to speak. I think that they're going to win. I think that team's the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Rams are going on the road, and I think the Rams are winning that game outright. I think the Rams have the better coach. I think the Rams have the better quarterback. I think the Rams offensively are going to be able to score. And I know the first time that those two teams played each other, Saquon Barkley went crazy in that matchup. I think they match up a little bit better. Their D-line is playing with a lot of confidence after what just happened last week. I think the upset for the weekend is going to be that the Rams are going on the road, and I think they're pulling off the upset. Do you have an upset happening this weekend, Rob? Is there something that you're looking at when we're getting ready for these games?
Man, me and you are looking at the same game. Maybe this is unfair by me, and it's a little bit of, talking out both sides of my mouth. If the Ravens were to beat the Bills, which I did earlier in our parlay that I don't believe that's going to happen, I would take the Bills in the money line. I know that's a seeding upset, like the 3 seed beat the 2 seed. But that doesn't feel like an upset to me if Lamar Jackson, who could have won MVP, goes on the road as a 1.5-point favorite and gets a win. Like, I know that Vegas spreads are not the end-all, be-all, but that doesn't feel very upsetty to me if it does shake out that way. But I see the same way as you. If I had to pick an upset this weekend, it would be the Rams. I do not buy into this Eagles team. They feel like they have a lot of right under the surface drama that just hasn't exploded onto the surface because winning cures all ills. But A.J. Brown was reading a book during the game last week. He had 1 catch for 6 yards on the sideline. He's reading a book. Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, they said preseason they buried the hatchet and they're working together going forward. But it always seems like there's just something amiss there. And I guess it stems from the fact I don't like Sirianni. He's fighting with fans. It feels like the Eagles are one bad loss away from an expose on The Athletic about how terrible things were in the culture, and just winning cures all ills because it feels off with the Eagles. So I like the Rams, but the weather has me a little bit shook.
Yeah, I think at least in this matchup, what kind of scares me about the Eagles and what has for the last couple of years is if we're saying that this is a coach and a quarterback league and you're gonna need your quarterback to make plays, do you trust Jalen Hurts to make a big-time throw in a big-time spot? I think the Eagles have the worst remaining quarterback in the postseason. I think they're dead last. I know you're not sold on C.J. Stroud. I'd rather have C.J. Stroud than have Jalen Hurts. I'd rather have Jaden Daniels than have him. I think he is the worst quarterback remaining. And if you're telling me that it's 3rd and 7 and you need your quarterback to make a big-time play, I don't know if I trust Jalen Hurts to do that right now. And I do trust Matthew Stafford to do that. And ultimately, I think that's going to be the difference. I think the Rams are going on the road, and I think they're pulling off the upset. I think they're knocking off the Philadelphia Eagles. Coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Nate Taylor of The Athletic. We'll continue to get you ready for the divisional round matchup. One of the Chiefs player props is actually the most popular player prop of any of them this weekend in the NFL. I'll tell you what it is. Keep it right here, so drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Hey, it's Carrington here, and let me tell you about my new obsession, Daisy French Onion Dip. I love football season. I love snack season. So when you're eating chips, wings, or veggies and you're looking for that perfect complement, look no further than Daisy French Onion Dip. And now they have a ranch dip. And I'm telling you, this is a game changer. These are as good as homemade dips with real herbs and spices and ingredients that you'd find in your own kitchen. So go try the Daisy French Onion Dip today. Trust me, you'll love it. You can find it at a grocery store near you.
Calling all Missouri sports fans, Underdog is available to play in your state. Underdog, the best place to cash in all your takes for any of the sports you enjoy. Maybe you think more points or rebounds. Whatever you think the higher or lower might be, you got a great opportunity to win over at Underdog. It's the only champs platform that puts the power to cash in your hands. Now you can either keep it riding or tap the Win Now button to cash out whenever you want. Every dog deserves a second chance, too. And with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. Download the app today, sign up with promo code TAP, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code TAP, T-A-P-P. Underdog is the place to play champs, so don't miss out. Must be 18 plus and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
So let me tell you guys about my friends over at The Other Place. They have 5 locations around Kansas City to get you ready for some great playoff action. We got 3 straight days of the playoffs, whether it's with the pros or in college. So that means you're going to need some great food specials. Tomorrow, they have a 14-inch 2-topping pizza for $12. 8 wings and a basket of tots for $12, also $4 domestics, and you also want to catch the national championship game on Monday. If you were looking for a place that has all of the action, all of the screens so you don't miss a second of the action, a one-of-a-kind game day experience, and the next best thing to actually go into the games, then go check out my friends at The Other Place.
Hey diamond lovers, Shane Company knows fine jewelry. That means a lot when you're looking for a dream engagement ring, a beautiful keepsake, or the perfect gift. When it's this important, you want someone who knows exactly how to work with your budget. Not against it. Someone who knows you deserve a piece more beautiful than you've ever imagined. Through 4 generations as a family business, we've always sourced our diamonds and gemstones directly, cut out the middleman, and passed the savings on to you. Come see us in store and compare our wide selection of diamonds, rubies, and a rainbow of sapphires in different shapes and sizes. So many in stock and ready to take home today. Create your dream engagement ring in 3 easy steps. Or pick a perfectly preset ring that's created by our in-house design team. Browse our selection of fine jewelry gifts for everyone in your life, from diamond and gemstone studs to must-have tennis bracelets and beautiful birthstone necklaces. With our everyday competitive prices and unmatched free lifetime warranty, Shane Company is your go-to destination for fine jewelry. Visit shaneco.com and come in to see for yourself. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Park & Go, the best deals on airport parking.
Tackle your airport parking needs at Park & Go. Always the best service and always the best price at bookparkandgo.com. Open 24/7 and all spots are covered. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com. Park & Go, family owned and operated.
Divisional round coverage of the Chiefs and Texans on 96.5 The Fan is brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer partner of your Kansas City Chiefs. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
2-car crash with the left lane closed, eastbound 70, right at 435. Looking at backups behind it. And emergency vehicles now closing the right lane in the downtown loop of eastbound 70, just past 11th Street. And some more sirens and flashing lights eastbound 670 to Genesee Street, also stopping traffic. From the Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric Traffic Center, I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
Chiefs fans, it's Trent McDuffie. Welcome to The Drive with CDOT on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Coming up at the top of the hour, we are going to be joined by Nate Taylor of The Athletic. There's actually a lot of things to get into with the Kansas City Chiefs, both on and off the field. They lose somebody in their front office. They are now the general manager for the Tennessee Titans. We'll get his thoughts on that. Also, getting you ready for the divisional round between the Chiefs and the Texans. So let me tell you that right now, the 5 most popular NFL player prop bets are Dominique Brown, who plays for the Washington Commanders, his over on receiving yards, which is 34.5. Joe Mixon over on rush yards, that is at 54.5. Jahmyr Gibbs, longest rush, over 18.5. Dalton Schultz over on 39.5. And Isaiah Pacheco, he is the most popular player prop right now, over on rush yards on 41.5. Here's what I want to ask you guys, 913-586-7965. I think we know what this move means for the passing game. They played this team a month ago. Patrick only got sacked 1 time. I think we all know what this means from a pass perspective. There seems to be a lot of fear and worry about what this means for the run game, and I think that that's mostly misplaced. I think you have to use a little bit of context by it. This was late in the season after they ran Kareem Hunt into the ground, and he got a lot of carries at the end of the season. And I also think that I don't know if Isaiah Pacheco has ever really been healthy over the last few weeks or so. We're talking about somebody who broke their leg in week 2. He broke his leg and had surgery on a broken leg and then came back in the same season to play football. And now we're like, oh, no, it's going to take a little bit of time. I told you guys, I made my list of the players that I think are going to most benefit by this extra time and this extra rest. I think the answer is Isaiah Pacheco. I like this one too, 41.5. I want to see the old Isaiah Pacheco, and I just don't think we saw a lot of that this year. He hasn't had a lot of big runs, hasn't really made a lot of big plays, hasn't really had that usual style that he plays with. I think this team is going to need some of that toughness. I think they're going to need some of that energy in the run game. I'm not giving up on the run game because they moved Joe Thuney to the outside. I think a lot of it is just circumstances. You had Kareem Hunt at the end of the season after you've given him a bunch of carries, and Isaiah Pacheco hasn't been healthy. I think we see a new, fresh, renewed Chiefs run game on Saturday against the Texans.
Do you think that because of Isaiah Pacheco or because both got the rest?
Both.
Because if you think both, and I had a hunch you thought both, I think a thing that we haven't talked about all this weekend, because I don't think it's like a massive storyline, is how is Andy Reid going to handle running back? Because he's got two. You can split carries. You can go 50-50. You can go 70-30. You can go 80-20, whichever direction you want. He has two capable running backs, both of which are very rested headed into this game. But I think there is a difference between Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt, I think, actually is better for a game that doesn't have Joe Thuney because he's a bowling ball that turns 1st and 10 into 2nd and 5. Mitch Holtis has told us that basically all season. So I wonder if that's the play this weekend, is to take the one in the hand and Pacheco, who is very good at breaking off explosive runs. If you're going to be diminished at left guard, do you lean on Hunt over Pacheco?
Yeah, this is where I feel like now we're playing a little bit of revisionist history, and we're forgetting that we used to say all of these same things about Isaiah Pacheco before he got hurt. Like, now we don't trust Isaiah Pacheco in short yardage situations. Now he's not a bowling ball. A year ago, everybody loved Isaiah Pacheco's run style. Now it's, we don't know if he's capable or not. This is where I kind of feel like we have treated Isaiah Pacheco as a little bit disposable. I think a lot of that is where he was drafted. He's a late round pick that you feel like you got everything you were supposed to get out of Isaiah Pacheco, and now you're ready to move on to the next back. Last year in the postseason, help carry this team. 24 carries for 89 yards in the freezing cold and scored a touchdown against the Dolphins. Had 15 carries for 97 yards last year against Buffalo. Against Baltimore, 68 yards and a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Ran for 60 yards. Had 33 yards receiving. I don't know why we're playing this game with Isaiah Pacheco that when he's healthy, he has not been a viable and proven back for the Kansas City Chiefs. Is he the best back in the playoffs? No. But if he's healthy and they show a commitment to getting him the football, I have no reason to think that Isaiah Pacheco won't be a productive player. I know he can handle the workload. I know he can catch the ball out of the backfield. I know he can give you a spark. If he's healthy now and ready to go, which he should be after 3 weeks of rest and resting up, I like that 41.5. I know that's the most popular play, and you should usually fade the public. I think the opportunities are going to be there. I think the carries are going to be there. I think Isaiah Pacheco has a pretty decent day, and I think that at the end of this game, it will be obvious who their number one running back is. I'm not saying that there is not a role for Kareem Hunt. Sure, he should get some targets. He should get some opportunities. He should get some. But if there's 20 carries in this game and Isaiah Pacheco is healthy and ready to go, he should get 14 of those opportunities because I've seen him do it before in this spot.
To your point about Pacheco, and Dusty gave me this stat earlier today on Fesco and Dusty, and this stat blew my mind. Isaiah Pacheco has 7 consecutive games of at least 75-plus scrimmage yards in the playoffs. The only people who have 8 or more of running backs with that stat are Emmitt Smith, Terrell Davis, and Franco Harris. So we talk a lot on this show, and we should, about, there's playoff Travis. Playoff Travis is different. Playoff Travis is a beast, and he is. Man, Isaiah Pacheco has played, is his 3rd season with the Chiefs? He's played in 7 postseason games, and you can basically pencil him in, hey, he's going to get 75 total yards. Check and check. If you're getting that Isaiah Pacheco, which that guy was obviously more healthy than he is this season, but if you can right now put it down in pin, or as Seth Davis says, Sharpie, 75-plus scrimmage yards, that I don't really think there's a conversation about running back 1 or 2. It's Isaiah Pacheco because he is the more dynamic back. Everything you're saying is correct, but the eye test has definitely favored Kareem Hunt this year. It's a problem for the Chiefs, a good problem to have. They don't have a true clear-cut RB1, so to speak.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And I guess maybe my thing is I don't want to diminish what Kareem Hunt has done. I really don't. I feel like when we say this, like, oh, you hating on Kareem, I'm not. Kareem Hunt had 200 carries this year and averaged 3.6 yards per carry. He had 3.6 yards per carry. He was fine for what they needed early in the season, and they got the absolute most out of him. Kareem Hunt hasn't ran for more than 70 yards since November 4th for this team. I think he has a role. He is a 3rd-and-1 short yardage back. He should get some carries. He should get some opportunities. If Isaiah Pacheco is healthy, and he has not been healthy since the second week of the season, remember, coming into the year, excited about Isaiah Pacheco, great postseason run. He broke his leg early in the season and hasn't really had that time. I think he maybe came back a little bit too early, pressed it a little bit, trying to get back on the field. Now you got time to rest up, you got time to relax, and you got a time to ball out. I would give Isaiah Pacheco a good usage, a good amount of run in this game. I'd give him double-digit carries. I'd give him the opportunity to be the number one if he's healthy and ready to do it. Coming up on the other side, let's be joined by our guy Nate Taylor with The Athletic. We'll get his thoughts on this. We'll get his thoughts on the Chiefs losing one of their key members in the front office, taking the Tennessee Titans job, and also get his thoughts on the divisional round in the postseason. Keep it right here. It's The Drive on 96.5 The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Two-car crash with the left lane closed, eastbound 70, right at 435. Looking at backups behind it. And emergency vehicles now closing the right lane in the downtown loop of eastbound 70, just past 11th Street. And some more sirens and flashing lights eastbound 670 to Genesee Street, also stopping traffic. From the Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric Traffic Center, I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, appears every week on 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, Inc. GEHA is a proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Now, your Live Nation lineup.
Don't miss these upcoming shows. Get tickets and info at livenation.com. Sebastian Maniscalco, Saturday, February 22nd at T-Mobile Center. Goo Goo Dolls, Friday, August 22nd at Starlight. And Lincoln Park, Sunday, August 31st at T-Mobile Center.
For tickets and info, hit up livenation.com.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. Get the savings you want on America's largest 5G network. Visit T-Mobile.com/choice55 and start saving today.
Hey, it's Gold, and I've been telling you guys about my friends at Max Motors, and there's not a better time to go say hello to my friends down there than right now. We just got done with this winter storm, and if you have a 4x4 vehicle, you know how much easier it was to navigate the last couple of days, and if you don't, you're probably thinking, what would that be like? Well, at Max Motors, they have every new 2024 Ram 1500 in stock right now, 25% off MSRP. They got 4x4 options available in that 2024 Ram 1500. And here's where Max Motors is different. And they showed me this when I was out there as well. And that is explaining the total cost of ownership, not just what that monthly payment is going to be. So if you've been thinking about a brand new vehicle, there is no better place to go than Max Motors. And they're going to take care of you with the best financing options available and give you the max trade-in values in the Midwest. So take advantage of every new 2024 Ram 1500 in stock. That's 25% off MSRP. Must finance with dealer lender. Offer expires 2/3/25. Max Motors, the easiest place to buy a car. MaxMotors.com.
GimmeTheVin.com. Our expert buying team knows exotics, luxury cars, classics, diesels, lifted stuff, hot rods, inside and out. We buy them at GiveMeTheVin.com. It's a one-stop shop to get into a pool of absolute experts. Join my YouTube channel, John Clay Wolf. GimmeTheVin.com. They don't call me America's best car buyer for nothing.
Sell us your car. GimmeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
Your skin tells a story. At KMC Dermatology and Med Spa, we understand that stress, time, and life can leave their mark, but it's never too late to refresh, renew, and restore your skin. With 25 expert providers across multiple locations, we make glowing skin easy. Same week appointments? Absolutely. Select Saturday appointments available? You got it. From medical dermatology to advanced aesthetic treatments, we're here to help you look and feel your best. Schedule your appointment today at kmcpa.com. KMC Dermatology and Med Spa. Beyond the surface.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. Visit eatandys.com to find the location nearest you. Top your day with a smile.
Let me tell you about my good friend Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from Kansas City, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Tailgate with a pick six, or grab a freshly made custom treat before or after a game, and tell him Mitch and Andy sent you.
5 years later, here we are again.
That's a fake punt. They fake the right side. It's tackled. Short of the first down. Great play. Dirty Dan Sorensen would not be fooled. He's going to try to hold it. Throws it late. And is it caught in the... It's caught. Touchdown. Kansas City. The Chiefs take the lead.
Chiefs and Texans in the Divisional Round live from Arrowhead Stadium. Right here on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan.
What's up, KC? It's Trent McDuffie. Catch the play-by-play all season long with Mitch, Danon, and Kling right here on your home of the Chiefs. 96.5, The Fan.
KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City in Odyssey Sports Station. He's been in the locker room since 2018 and has seen the Chiefs make the AFC title game every year. Coincidence? Who knows? But no one is more plugged into your Chiefs than Nate Taylor of The Athletic.
I know the Chiefs are probably calling teams to be like, hey, 6th-round pick, and I don't know if anybody's going to bite on that sort of trade offer.
And he joins CDOT every Friday at 4, right here on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan.
Welcome back into the drive on 96.5 The Fan, 96.5thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. We are waiting for Nate Taylor to join us in studio. We'll help get you ready for the divisional round of the playoffs. I want to play this stat for you guys in case you missed it. We had Matt Verderam on the show a couple of days ago, and he gave us a really, really solid stat regarding this round of the playoffs and what it means to be a favorite like Kansas City and also the Washington Commanders.
I'm not overlooking Houston. I'm not. It's a playoff game. Anything can happen. I actually went back and looked it up. Since the divisional round became a thing in 1967, there have been 83 divisional round games where the spread was over 7 points. In those games, favorites are 65 and 18. They win about 80% of the time. You can lose. You can lose. It happens. But if the Chiefs don't give the game away, they're not losing this game. Even if they're a little rusty, even if they've got to figure some things out, they're better. They're better in all three phases of the game. They have a better coaching staff. And I think the Texans have a good staff, but the Chiefs staff's probably the best in football. They're better. They may not cover. Maybe it's one of those things where they win 26-20 or something.
So we looked up a couple of stats to kind of put this into a perspective. So you just heard it. There have been 83 games in which a team has been favored by at least 7 points in the divisional round, 65 and 18. So teams like Kansas City win 80% of these matchups. I'll give you a couple more stats to get you ready for this weekend. So we looked up the last 60 teams to make it to the AFC or NFC championship game. Only 8 of those teams have been teams that have won 10 or fewer games. Houston went 10-7 this year. Only 8 of the last 60 teams to make it to the last 4 teams in the NFL have won 10 or fewer games. teams like that usually don't advance past this round of the postseason. You win your first game against a team like the Chargers, against a team like Pittsburgh, against a team like the Buccaneers, and then you go on the road and you play one of the better teams in the National Football League, and that is usually where your run ends. So we'll see what happens here. We're waiting on Nate Taylor to join us in studio to get you ready for the divisional round of the postseason. Rob, do you agree that I think that Houston has some of the ingredients in order to be able to pull off this upset? I like their quarterback. I think they've got a capable defense. They played the Chiefs recently, so you can make some adjustments. I don't completely undervalue or overlook the Texans heading into this matchup. I think they are a capable team. I'm not really sure if there's enough firepower on the Houston side to be able to win this matchup. And I think if they are going to be able to pull this upset off, they're going to need to get some outside factors. They're going to need to run a kickback. They're going to need to have a pick six, a fumble score, a scoop and score. They're going to need to do one of those kind of extra things in order to pull off an upset.
We have talked about this a lot this week. And I've said earlier, one of the reasons why I think left tackle is a major talking point is because I think the only path for the Texans to beat the Chiefs is to muddy up the game. And I know the Chiefs won this game, but make it like 1917. You know how the Chiefs beat the Raiders on Black Friday, or how they beat the Chargers on that Sunday night game? It was a muddied up, hey, they made a couple plays late, and that was the difference in their game, but the defense really carried the day. That's the Texans' path. But you know what? Now that we know Joe Thuney is at left tackle, my fears, my concerns, my whatever you want to call it about the ability for the Texans to muddy up the game defensively has dramatically dipped. I think the Chiefs are playing their best offensive line, and it's going to stifle Will Anderson or Danielle Hunter as best they can, and the Texans aren't going to be able to muddy up the game. And if you can't muddy up the game for the Texans and you got to outscore the Chiefs, the stats show and playoff openers with the rest, the Chiefs they don't just beat people, they wallop people. I don't think now that Thuney's left tackle, the Texans have what it takes.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Texans and in their game against the Chargers. Joe Mixon ran for over 100 yards. He scored a touchdown. Nico Collins had 7 catches for 122 yards. He scored a touchdown. Those were their 2 offensive touchdowns. They then got some defensive touchdowns, some other things that happened throughout the game. They got 2 pick sixes. If the Chiefs can take away one of those individuals, Joe Mixon has 60 yards rushing, Nico Collins can have a decent day. Is there anybody else on that offense that you think can really pose a threat? They got Damian Pierce in the run game. I mean, these were their top receivers outside of Nico Collins. Xavier Hutchinson, who I've never heard of a day in my life, Cade Stover, John Mechie, who went to Alabama, Dalton Schultz, the tight end. He had 2 catches for 23 yards, and Robert Woods. Nico Collins had 122 yards, and their next receiver had 34 yards. That sounds like the Chiefs last year with Rice, where Rice had all these yards and then nobody else did anything. If you trust Spags and you think that Spags is a good defensive coordinator, we just got to take one of these 2 guys out of the game. Joe Mixon can't run 400 yards. Nico Collins can't have a big day. Are you worried about Xavier Hutchinson beating you, or Cade Stover, or one of these other options? We got Nate Taylor joining us in studio right now to get you ready for the divisional round matchup. I'll start with this question. I think that Isaiah Pacheco is the player who is most going to benefit by having extra time to rest and prepare. I don't think Isaiah Pacheco's been healthy for 4 months. And I do think that Chiefs fans are kind of forgetting how good Isaiah Pacheco was the last 2 seasons, especially in the postseason. And if he's healthy and back to what he was, I think he should get 15 carries and should be given an opportunity to kind of drive this offense. What player do you think now with this extra time to rest, what player do you think gets the biggest boost?
That's a good question. And you are probably right because, I asked Andy Reid this coming off the bye week about both Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco, and Andy saying those guys have taken a beating all year. They really haven't been at their absolute peak form. So Isaiah Pacheco is a great candidate. I would still say outside of Pacheco, if I give you Pacheco, I put it in the Athletic. The man's 35 years old. Okay. He has managed, he's done something that only a very few amount of tight ends have ever done in the NFL, whether that's Tony Gonzalez and who I'm about to compare him to. But the last dynasty And they didn't go back-to-back a ton and then have a chance to really three-peat. It was a different version of the team based on the age of the quarterback, not the tight end. It was the inverse. But the Patriots found a way to say, hey, no big hits. I'm not going to expose you to unnecessary contact. We're actually going to use you as a decoy. We're going to use you more in the running game as a blocker just to get in somebody's way. I don't need you to George Kittle somebody and like blow them up off the line of scrimmage. Just get in their way. Just prevent them from making the tackle so that our scheme works. The Chiefs have found a way to get Travis Kelce through the regular season. He does not care about statistics anymore. He doesn't care about records. The only record he cared about was breaking Tony Gonzalez's record. They did that on Christmas Day. So all that matters is getting as healthy as possible and being as effective of a third down specialist, red zone, just dynamic weapon, regardless of who the opponent is, whether it's Kyle Hamilton, whether it's Eric Murray from the Houston Texans tomorrow. You're the best tight end in the history of this game in the postseason. You were healthy and rested for this particular postseason run. So I would say Travis Kelce is probably one of the top guys on the list, even though he didn't have as many injuries that we knew about last season compared to this season.
I actually think that Kelce can go into this postseason without having the amount of pressure on him as last year.
Mm-hmm.
You and I talked about it. They had 3 reliable offensive weapons
and that
last
was
year.
it.
They didn't have anybody else that you could rely on pretty consistently. Heading into the postseason this year, they've got 7 guys you feel pretty confident in. You feel confident with Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Samaje Perine if you need to, using him in that Jerick McKinnon role. You've got Noah Gray, DeAndre Hopkins. Hollywood has played well since he's come back. Xavier Worthy has played really well. I don't know if they need Kelce to be Superman the way that he needed to be last year. If, let's say Travis Kelce has 5 catches for 45 yards in this game and doesn't score a touchdown, the Chiefs can still win that game.
Yes.
Last year, they had no chance of winning that game if that's what Travis Kelce did.
Right, unless Patrick used his legs to a great deal to, again, move the chains or obviously convert, red zone opportunities into touchdowns, or Rashee Rice was just like unguardable. Yes, this year we've only seen, and it's unfortunate because the Texans were the first team to really see it, so they will have some idea, but we've only seen Hollywood Brown for 2 games. And he's got as fresh of a legs as you could absolutely want without any real contact or punishment throughout the course of the season.
I was really impressed by how he played in the 2 games that we got to see him.
Yeah. And it didn't take him and Patrick a long time to establish a baseline of their chemistry on the field and then to expand on it or improve it going from, a short week. So that might actually help them in a sense, but going from Saturday, mid-December or late December, I should say, against the Texans, then going, essentially 3.5 days later and really excelling against the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he was great against their zone coverages in the middle of the field on RPO action, creating, running deep routes to create something for, Xavier Worthy or Travis Kelce. There's a lot to be said that Xavier Worthy is faster. We know this. Like, Xavier Worthy's faster than Ladd McConkey. And I want to remind everybody in my hometown that Ladd McConkey did work last week against the Texans. Yes, they had 2 pick sixes. Yes, one of the balls went through Ladd's hands, and that was returned for a touchdown. But when Ladd McConkey caught the ball, he was excellent, and he was running away from people. So if you give similar opportunities to Xavier Worthy or similar opportunities to Hollywood Brown, they have an even greater chance of breakaway speed or getting huge chunks with yards after the catch because the defense has to account for Travis Kelce. They have to account for DeAndre Hopkins on the perimeter, because of his shorthandedness. There's a chance that, yes, despite Travis Kelce, being primed and ready, he does not have to have 100 yards for this team to win by double digits tomorrow.
Who plays a higher percentage of snaps? Do you think it's DeAndre Hopkins or Jalen Watson?
You got to ride with. You got to. you didn't trade for DeAndre Hopkins to not have him play more snaps than Justin Watson. Now,
I just feel like we've been saying this for a while, and he's kind of hovered around that 50 to 60% right now.
Yes.
You would think it's the postseason. Now he should be on the field for 75, 80% of the snaps.
Yes.
I'm kind of thinking that Jalen Watson is going to play. You've heard Andy talk enough. He says the same thing. We'll see, and then the guy ends up playing 3/4 of the game. So I think they're going to have. I think it's going to be Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, and I don't really think we're seeing a lot of Najee Johnson this week. Who do you think gets on the field more between those two for a higher percentage?
It should be DeAndre Hopkins. This is, I don't want to make things too dramatic, but we all know how crazy this league goes, man, how fast it goes. 1 minute you were an all-pro, next minute you're out of the league, and that's in like an 18-month, 36-month period. DeAndre Hopkins wanted to come to Kansas City, wanted to be traded to Kansas City, thanked the now fired general manager of the Tennessee Titans for trading him to Kansas City because he's 32 years old. And how many more chances is he going to have? So I think DeAndre Hopkins has a right to say, ain't no way. God bless him, because Justin Watson is a very good receiver for who he is. He knows all the positions. He's been in the system longer. He knows every position in the playbook. Okay, cool, that's fine. But I'm trying to win a ring. I'm trying to get to the Super Bowl. He's never been in a Super Bowl before. He's never, you could argue, been as close as he is right now with this talented of a quarterback ever before, with Patrick Mahomes, of course. So it should be DeAndre Hopkins. When it comes to Jalen Watson, I think the first quarter will be that'll be the rehearsal. That'll be the okay, what do you have? We're going to give you a quarter, see how you play, how you're feeling conditioning-wise, physicality. Did you give up any big plays that cause concern? And if not, hey, man, we're going to ride you till the wheels fall off because there's no tomorrow. I think if Jalen Watson gets through the first quarter and plays very well, or is adequate, not making any mental mistakes, not being out of assignment, making shorthanded tackles. Hey, it'd be nice if we got like a nice pass breakup early to, boost the confidence. Then, yeah, you're our guy on the outside with Trent McDuffie. And then when we get in nickel, we'll bring in Joshua Williams. If we go into dime, we might bring Jaden Hicks, as that third safety. But if you had to ask me right now, I think DeAndre Hopkins plays more than Justin Watson or Jalen Watson, just because this is a golden opportunity for DeAndre Hopkins, and because it's his former team, I'm sure he wants to have a moment or two on Saturday that helps the Chiefs win.
Right now, we're talking to our guy Nate Taylor joining us in studio. Let's talk about the number one storyline with this team. I never really understood the other side of the argument. The Chiefs played their best football the final 3 weeks of the season. Mm-hmm. They had one offensive line. Now the plan for their first postseason game is to scrap that idea and go with now their fourth different version of the offensive line heading into the most important game of the season. That just didn't really make a lot of sense to me. My point in the open is that plans change.
Yes.
I firmly believe that the Chiefs expected DJ Humphries to be their starting left tackle for the postseason. That's why you signed him. That's why you brought him in. That's why you gave him $2 million. And then he got hurt instantly. So then now you have to adjust. You got to come up with a new plan. They found a new plan with Joe Thuney. That plan worked beautifully in the month of December. I don't know why anyone was thinking that the Chiefs were going to see something on film that was working and then be like, well, we don't want to do that now for the postseason. I never really understood that side of it. I am happy now that we're getting the reports that it sounds like Joe Thuney is going to start tomorrow at left tackle.
Yeah, I was on the phone. That's the way it's looking. It's. You want to know my theory?
Yeah, of course.
I can't. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot report this as factual, but I will give you context to the theory. There's been a lot of things this year that Andy Reid has done that he would not normally do in a normal season based on his 25-year history of being a head coach. My theory is they got to him. Whoever they is in your mind in the organization, they got to Andy Reid. Because Andy Reid, all Andy Reid needed to see the last time we saw the Chiefs play against the Denver Broncos, regular season finale, is don't embarrass us and stay healthy and, just get through the game. That was Andy Reid's plan for DJ Humphrey. You do that, you're gonna be starting. Because yes, on paper, yes, while we hired you, man, if we could get you and Joe Thuney working together in tandem on the left side, we got a top 2 offensive line in the league, argue. And then they got to him. And you could say whether that's Brett Veach, who obviously made the decision to obviously sign DJ Humphries, whether that's Joe Thuney saying, give me the opportunity. And again, Joe Thuney doesn't talk, so you can imagine how that went. But Joe Thuney knows. He done won Super Bowls. He knows what it takes. And of course, what does Patrick Mahomes want? My theory is, as much as coaches are loyal, and they're designed to be loyal, especially to veteran guys who've been in the postseason before, like DJ Humphries, veteran guys who know I'm here to help us get over the top. I think multiple people in the organization got to Andy Reid and said, to your point, Carrington, we played our best on offense with Hollywood Brown on the field, Xavier Worthy, no longer a rookie anymore, and Joe Thuney and Mike Caliendo playing their you-know-what's off when it's not either one of their A, natural positions, or B, they shouldn't be a starter in this league, but because of circumstances, we just threw Mike Caliendo out there, and he has swam with the Sharks, and he survived so far. That is my theory, and if it goes well Saturday, you can't turn back. Can't turn back. If the Chiefs win tomorrow, beat the Houston Texans by double digits, and it's never uncomfortable, this is the starting lineup that you will go to the wall with against the Baltimore Ravens or the Buffalo Bills, or let's just say for, everybody's sake, the Detroit Lions. This is who you're going to roll with from now until the dynasty run is over or until you three-peat. That's my theory.
Have you ever seen the movie Miracle before?
I don't
the hockey
think
movie.
So.
Well, there.
Oh yes. Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I was thinking, is there a new movie that came out?
No. So if you remember in the movie Miracle, the coach wants to bring in an outside guy, and the team comes together. Like, wait, hold on. We've gone through training camp together. We've done all of this stuff together. If we're gonna win the gold medal, these are the players we think we're gonna win the gold medal.
What a good point.
It sounds like that's what you think happened here.
Yes.
Where my argument against DJ Humphries is maybe Humphries is the healthier option of the two. I'm not denying that. But if you've had a continuity for the last month with these guys, I just don't know how you and I are going to break up that continuity heading into the postseason to do something that quite literally you have not done in the third or fourth quarter of a game this season. They have not had a fourth quarter in 2024 where it was DJ Humphries, Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Jawan Taylor on the right side.
That's wild.
And now they want that to be the fourth quarter of the divisional round? That it just, the logic never made sense to me with DJ Humphries.
Yeah. And I that's such a good example because the coach is supposed to be about the team. You might have a plan, but we all know Andy Reid is capable of adjusting, capable of listening to Patrick Mahomes, has given a lot of faith, a lot of trust in Patrick Mahomes. And, obviously Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, we could go down the list. It's a great point. Because it's wild to consider that. Remember when DJ Humphrey? I just want to remind people. Remember when DJ Humphrey played his first game against the Chargers in early December, and they were like, "Hey man, it's great that you're here. It's a 5-step drop." Patrick was literally like 5-step drop. I would tell everybody else to play call in the huddle. Hey, by the way, play action. This is what, kind of trying to simplify it for him in real time against Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. I mean, it was wild. They won the game, but that's obviously the game that DJ got hurt. And so you couldn't build on that. You couldn't build momentum with DJ Humphrey. Obviously the last time I saw DJ Humphrey, he was, protecting Carson Wentz. So it's unfortunate timing. There's no animosity. I want to make this clear too. There's no animosity, no questioning DJ Humphrey's abilities. He's coming off an ACL and he's 31. I mean, everybody knows why he's here.
I'd also be very happy if they re-sign DJ Humphries and he comes back next season.
That's definitely a possibility.
Like, they have an opening at left tackle.
Correct.
And I think they've made it clear Wanye's not playing that position and Kingsley's not playing that position.
Right.
So if this team this offseason decides we're going to sign DJ Humphries to a 1-year deal and we're also going to spend another draft pick at left tackle, but instead of throwing that guy instantly into the fire, we're going to let him develop behind the scenes. We'll let DJ play this 1 year and then that guy will take over in his second year. I don't think that's a bad plan for what the future is going to be. I think everybody acknowledges this is a short-term fix.
Yes.
This is a January solution to a problem. Let's have Joe Thuney run it out for these next 3 games. Let's win these next 3 games. Let's give Joe Thuney a raise for what he did this season. I think he's going to have an extension, get his cap number down, put some more guaranteed money into his pocket.
Yeah, you can retire. There's a chance you could retire as a Chief, yes.
And then let's figure out what our plan is going to be at left tackle. And if Humphries is healthy now, he's been practicing well, he fits in well he's picking up the offense. Hey, let's just extend what we've been doing. Let's bring you back for next season and let's see if what our original plan can work.
And you get a full off season, right? There's no he jumped on a train that was going pretty fast to begin with, and now we're in warp speed. It's just, honestly, it's not fair to him. And that's what's so heartbreaking, I think, for him personally, is man, I can really help this team, but I got hurt and I was coming off a pretty major injury and I'm not in my peak prime. So no, I totally agree with that. And that's definitely a possibility, especially if you can get Joe Thuney to come back, lowering his cap hit, knowing how stable he keeps the offensive line in general, right? Whether that's at left guard or at left tackle, of course. Wanye Morris is probably a swing tackle, a high level swing tackle. One could argue high enough he might be the next Cam Irving. Think about that. Where you go to another team, they need a starter. They can just plug you in and start. But he's has the potential to be a high level swing tackle because now he's shown that he can at least be serviceable at left tackle if he's healthy and he continues to develop and grow. For Kingsley Suamataia, gotta say, kind of want to see you at guard. Just kind of want to see you at guard next year. Doesn't mean we're not gonna think you can play left tackle or not try to develop you because he has the footwork and the athleticism to do it. It's just, can you get your technique right and can you work with so much more space than obviously being between, let's say, Creed Humphrey and Jawan Taylor, where you have less space and you can just, show off your strength and athleticism in a different sort of context. This, I think cooler heads have prevailed, even though it's unfortunate for DJ Humphries. But let's say they win the Super Bowl and DJ Humphries comes back, he will get his opportunity to be a part of the Chiefs dynasty in a sense, just not the way that he nor the organization intended when they began this partnership in mid-November, right before Thanksgiving.
We got our guy Nate Taylor joining us right now in studio. Coming up on the other side, I want to get your perspective on what the mood is around the team. You've been around the team for every big game for the last 6 years. Where are they at heading into this one? Also, I want to get your thoughts on Houston. I'm a believer in C.J. Stroud. Rob is actually not a big believer in C.J. Stroud. We'll talk about it next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
It's playoff time, and if you're going to the game or watching at home, you need your game day catered by Smokehouse Barbecue. Their game day special will take care of everyone. It's a pound of wings, a slab of ribs, a pound of burnt ends, and a quart of beans and setups for $6 for $79.95. Visit Smokehouse Barbecue at one of their 3 locations in Gladstone, Zona Rosa, or Independence, and do all of your ordering at smokehousebbq.com. For over 35 years, locally owned and family operated, it's Smokehouse Barbecue.
MD Anderson Cancer Center is again ranked #1 in the nation for cancer care by U.S. News & World Report's Best Hospitals rankings. Our physicians treat more types of cancers in a day than many see in their whole career. This unmatched depth of expertise, combined with our groundbreaking discoveries, gives our patients access to the most innovative treatment options. Learn more at mdanderson.org.
Hey, Missouri sports fans, I've got great news for you. Underdog is available to play in your state. Underdog is the best place to cash in on all of your takes during the playoffs. Which players are going to go off and which ones are going to stay ice cold. And with over 5 million happy players and 2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all of your favorite athlete performances. Underdog is the only champs platform that puts the power to cash out in your hands. Now you can either keep riding with your entry or tap the Win Now button to cash out whenever you want. And every dog deserves a second chance. And with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo code if an early injury causes your entry to lose. Underdog is the best place to play champs. Download the app, sign up with promo code BOB, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code BOB. Must be 18 and over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
It's cold outside, and the cupboard is bare. No worries. Let Hy-Vee do the shopping with Aisles Online. It's easy. Go to Hy-Vee.com, choose your store, select your items, and schedule a convenient pickup or delivery time. Right now, get $10 off any $125 Aisles Online purchase. What could be better? We do the shopping and deliver your groceries. You stay warm and save money. Download the Aisles Online app or go to Hy-Vee.com today.
As the Chiefs go for a three-peat in the big game, Hy-Vee's making my life easier. Hy-Vee's my one-stop shop for all game day needs. From official Chiefs apparel to fan favorites including wings, ready-to-bake pizza, and freshly prepared dips like spinach artichoke, street corn, and buffalo chicken dip. Hy-Vee has Chiefs-themed cookies and sheet cakes and cupcakes as well. Plus, don't forget the Hy-Vee Wine and Spirits department for all of your game day beverages. Elevate your home gate at Hy-Vee, the official grocery sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blaupunk Americas, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes. And our collegiate e-bikes, just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on two wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the impossible seem easy, tackling digital challenges like pros. Check out the Blue Dot Bike website to see AmericanEagle.com's amazing work in action. Need the best in website and digital marketing solutions? AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877-WEB-NOW-1.
The technicians you can trust with your house keys. Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Got emergency vehicles closing the right lane downtown, eastbound 70 just past 11th Street. And seeing some residual brake lights from a collision that has since cleared out eastbound 70 at 435. From the Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric Traffic Center, I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Chiefs fans, it's Justin Reed. Welcome to The Drive with C-Dot on your home of Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
We got Nate Taylor in studio. His appearance on The Drive is presented by Mark Ferguson. We all make mistakes. Let Mark and his legal team make the best of them. Pick up the phone. Call 816-221-1750. Nate, you have been around this team every day for what, the last 6 years, 7 years? Mm-hmm. You have seen them play in, win, lose, a lot of big games in your career. What's the mood? What's the tone? What's the temperature around this team heading into the playoffs this year?
All right. A lot of focus, no matter who you talk to. Andy Reid has a very good message of, like, I don't want to, like, everybody just stay calm. It's not Saturday. It is not kickoff. So I think guys are not necessarily relaxed, but I do think they understand that, hey, I think the Chiefs are trying to stay as disciplined as they can, as focused as they can, knowing what is in front of them. everybody knew this team was going to be in the postseason. It was just a matter of what were going to be the ebbs and flows of the regular season. And, hey, last year you guys had to go on the road. Maybe this year, make it a little easier on yourself. Get a 1 seed, get the 1 seed. So they've done that. So this is all that matters. And because you played the Texans a month ago, I do really think that helps inform your understanding of who you're playing, their strengths, their weaknesses, of course. You get the benefit of watching them play the Chargers, again, a divisional opponent. So I think guys are pretty focused. I know they're excited, but when I talked to Charles Omenihu, I want to say what day it was because all the days are scrambling together. I think it was Wednesday, if my memory's correct, Wednesday. They obviously practiced for the last time yesterday, Thursday, yeah. So I think it was Wednesday. Charles Omenihu was trying so hard not to, like, all right, I know what coach told me to say, like, say the right things. They're a good team. We got a good game plan. Like, how many cliches can I just throw in your face, Nate? And then I was like, well, what about the game plan? And his eyes lit up, and he was just like, oh, yeah, that's right. So they know what's in front of them. It's my job to sort of try to get them off the path necessarily, but I do think this team is pretty focused. And one of the repeatable sort of themes has been don't look past the Texans. These are human beings. They know what the line is. They know they're supposed to win. Hey, you're the 1 seed. I think Detroit is going through the same scenario before they get to play the Commanders on Saturday night too. Like, hey, you're supposed to win. Treat it like you're supposed to treat it. Don't get too ahead of yourself. Respect your opponent, but know that, like, it's really time to show out. So Charles Omenihu, for those wondering, said, you can check it. I play my best football in the postseason. And I was like, okay. Well, then I'm eager to see how you perform.
He's out here channeling the spirit
Saturday.
of Frank Clark. That's what he did. Channeling Frank Clark. It is funny to say this about a team that has won the last 2 Super Bowls. I feel like they didn't go into the postseason last year with a certain swagger. They came into the postseason with rest. I don't know if they came into it with the swagger.
Right.
I think the game against Pittsburgh was a message.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
We talk about how the Chiefs really don't want to blow people out and doing all of this. You got Xavier Worthy celebrating. Travis Kelce does the dance. And just the Chiefs are going into this healthy and playing with the swagger of, I think this is the best they've been positioned since the COVID year. You remember that COVID year?
Oh, that team
was really good.
Oh.
That team was head and shoulders better than everybody.
You know what? That team was the expression of can't tell me nothing. Like, you can't tell me anything. Hey, I'm the champ, and I'm better than you. I'm better than you. I'm better. Like, that team was on some, you can't tell me anything.
I feel like this team has a little bit of that energy with especially how they played, because, the Chiefs did a lot of complaining about the 3 games in 11. Everybody did. Chris Jones said, I want to talk to the league. Patrick said, we kind of feel like it's unfair. DeAndre Hopkins.
Yep.
You could tell they really focused in and wanted to prove a point during that stretch. They proved that point. And then in the last game in front of everybody on Netflix, hey, the objective is simple. Win this game and you get the next 10 days off. And the Chiefs went out there with the purpose of that team's not, we're not going to let them keep it close with us in this game. I really think they're going into this with their chest puffed out with the swagger that they didn't have going into last postseason.
Especially, like, let's just give this scenario. Especially if you, like, because, if the Chiefs win the toss, they'll defer. Let's say 5 and out, 3 and out, whatever. Touchdown on the first drive. Woo! Go up 7-0. Place is rocking. Yeah, then you're going to see that swagger. And guess what happened against the Steelers on Christmas Day? Sack. What was it? 3 and out, 6 and out, whatever it was. Sack, punt return, nice punt return by, I believe, Nico Remigio. Touchdown. You know what time it is. Like, I remember, and this is unfair to Mike Tomlin. No one cares about Mike Tomlin, but it dawned on me in the middle of that game, Carrington. I was like, he has no hand. He literally has no hand. He doesn't have the better team, which we all acknowledge, but he doesn't have a great schematic advantage, and he doesn't even have a great psychological advantage. Because the Chiefs knew on that day, if we win, even without Chris Jones, if we win, we get the 1 seed. We get how many weeks off? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we get like 2.5, 3 weeks off. And they sprinted like they saw the finish line. It was like watching a world-class athlete, a world-class runner, whether it's a marathon, 3,200, 4x4, whatever. You see the finish line and you hit that kick, and what does the other guy even have? If you're the better athlete, if you're the better, competitor, you may get a very similar vibe where it's like, hey, congratulations. You won your division. You got back to where you were last year, the AFC Divisional Round. But we chasing something different, and you guys are just a part of the journey. And we're in the sprint now, okay? And my legs feel great. I got all the treatment in the world. I ain't gotta travel nowhere. I got to get all this rest. I'm in the film room. I'm listening to the coaches, and it's time to sprint. It's time to sprint to New Orleans. So, yes, there's very much a chance of Houston better not show up like they did last week, where it was like a little nervous. Man, like the home crowd expects us to win. We haven't played the Chargers. What's that going to be like? And they got down early, and thankfully CJ rescued them. But they better come way better prepared and sort of focused and concentrating, because they let the Chargers drive the field, then they had a fumble. They let the Chargers get another field goal. Then they punted the ball back to the Chargers. They should have been down, they could have been down. I shouldn't say they should. They could have been down by double digits in that game before the second quarter even started. And if they have a similar performance to start Saturday's game, the Chiefs will boat race them.
I usually ask you a Chiefs win if, Texans win if scenario. I think the Chiefs win if scenario is pretty easy in this one. Play devil's advocate. Tell me how Houston comes into Kansas City and pulls off the upset tomorrow.
Okay. An injury is going to have to occur that we don't foresee, that complicates the scheme, the game plan, the flow and feel of the game. I truly believe that. I'm not saying I want anybody to get injured, but when you look at the NFL history of upsets of this magnitude, usually someone's gotten hurt or someone severely underperforms. And those are your two best options. And then you let the team hang and hang. And yeah, we could have went up 10. Man, we could have went up 10, Carrington, with 6 minutes left in the third quarter, but we didn't. And man, we could have got that extra touchdown in the red zone, but we turned the ball over. And even though they had a long field, we didn't put points on the board. And all of a sudden, there's 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and there's panic in the building. There's nervousness. There's like, oh my Lord, the season might end, and we're expected to win. So now the burden and the pressure and the psychological advantage that you thought you had going into the game has now been turned on you. And there's a level of freedom and proving yourself for CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans that they can ride that to the finish line if things go a certain way. Outside of that, I mean, Bobby Slowick and, why can't I think of his name right now? The head coach for the
DeMeco Ryans.
DeMeco Ryans, thank you. Hey man, if y'all got some schematic brilliance, let's see it. Like unless you got some just amazing game plan that none of us could have anticipated. I'm not just saying we, like you and me. I'm just saying like we, the Chiefs, the rest of
you got to be hyper aggressive if you're Houston in this game. You got to be going forward on 4th and 3 from midfield, just punting the ball and giving up and giving up possession is not how we win this game.
Hey, like you only there is no tomorrow, and we're not supposed to win anyway. So I would advise DeMeco Ryans not to do what old boy did in 2019. Hey, don't get up 24-0 and then start doing nonsense like the fake punt. But yeah, be aggressive. Come into Arrowhead to win, man. Like don't be afraid at all. And you only live once. You only get one opportunity. You might as well try something that you wouldn't normally do because you're not playing a normal opponent. This is not the Chargers. You're trying to defeat Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, the list goes on, Steve Spagnuolo. Like, you're trying to beat these guys. Like, no one's figured it out. So you might have to go outside of your comfort level to get it done.
Right now, we're talking to Nate Taylor joining us in studio. Coming up on the other side, I want to get your thoughts on C.J. Stroud. I also want to get your thoughts on the other game in the AFC. You have seen both of these teams in person. You've seen the Ravens in person and the Bills. Who do you think wins on Sunday night? Keep it right here, so Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for K-State Athletics, 96.5. The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
So let me tell you guys about my friends over at The Other Place. They have 5 locations around Kansas City to get you ready for some great playoff action. We got 3 straight days of the playoffs, whether it's with the pros or in college. So that means you're going to need some great food specials. Tomorrow, they have a 14-inch 2-topping pizza for $12. 8 wings and a basket of tots for $12, also $4 domestics, and you also want to catch the national championship game on Monday. If you are looking for a place that has all of the action, all of the screens so you don't miss a second of the action, a one-of-a-kind game day experience, and the next best thing to actually go into the games, then go check out my friends at The Other Place.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What's better than 1 win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get 1 line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
Get ready to elevate your game this NFL playoff season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. Because right now, all customers can get a no-sweat NFL same-game parlay for any game. All you need to do is place a 3-leg NFL same-game parlay, and you'll get bonus bets back if your bet doesn't win. Same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at an even bigger payout. So you can build your own or choose from one of the popular same-game pre-built models right there on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. Get your no-sweat same-game parlay today on America's #1 sportsbook app. All you need to do is visit FanDuel.com/KFNZ. FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 and present in Kansas. Opt-in required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after retreat. Max wagers $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Can help us your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
We're talking with Dr. David Bach, board-certified urologist at Kansas City Urology Care. What's the most important thing men should know about prostate cancer?
I would strongly recommend PSA testing. It's a simple blood test. It's inexpensive, and basically every male over 50 should be having this PSA once a year. Prostate cancer is the second leading cancer killer of men.
And why should they go to KCUC?
We not only treat more prostate cancer than anyone else in this part of the country, we also start with cutting-edge diagnostics who offer the most precise diagnoses of prostate cancer using ultrasounds and MRI. We can offer surgical, medical, and radiation types of treatments. And even for men who require additional therapies, we're able to offer all that at a single site.
Get your PSA level tested by the experts. Kansas City Urology Care. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. To make an appointment, visit appointments.kcuc.com.
Hey, it's Carrington here, and let me tell you about my new obsession, Daisy French Onion Dip. I love football season. I love snack season. So when you're eating chips, wings, or veggies, and you're looking for that perfect complement, look no further than Daisy French Onion Dip. And now they have a ranch dip. And I'm telling you, this is a game changer. These are as good as homemade dips with real herbs and spices and ingredients that you'd find in your own kitchen. So go try the Daisy French Onion Dip today. Trust me, you'll love it. You can find it at a grocery store near you.
Divisional Round coverage of the Chiefs and Texans on 96.5 The Fan is brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer partner of your Kansas City Chiefs. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Got emergency vehicles closing the right lane downtown, eastbound 70 just past 11th Street. And seeing some residual brake lights from a collision that has since cleared out eastbound 70 at 435. From the Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric Traffic Center, I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
Chiefs fans, it's Hollywood Brown. Welcome to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
All right, welcome back into The Drive. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll get back to the top story. We'll get back to talking about left tackle. The Chiefs have made their decision. They're going to go with DJ Humphries on the bench, and Joe Thuney is going to start for your Kansas City Chiefs. All right, I do want to get your thoughts on the Bills and the Ravens game because you have seen both of those teams in person. I want to get your final thought, I guess, on Houston and their quarterback. I think C.J. Stroud is special. The analogy that I made yesterday with Rob when we were talking about this is we kind of acknowledge this differently in the NBA than I think we do in the NFL. Nobody thinks that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is supposed to win the championship or MVP in his first 2 years. No. We know that it's a process.
Yeah.
You play 4 or 5 years, you kind of knock your head on the ceiling in the playoffs, and eventually you break through.
Yes.
We saw that with Jason Tatum. You made it early. You kind of had some early defeats, some knockouts. You lost in a final, and then you eventually get a chance and you break through.
Remember when he dunked on LeBron? I was like, who is this kid?
But I feel like when it comes to quarterback in the NFL, we just don't really think about it that way. You got to take advantage of your rookie contract, and if you don't when you're a rookie, you're a bum. We're ready to throw you away. It's very weird how we discuss quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah,
we had this stat. Yes. There have been 64 quarterbacks in the last 20 drafts who have been first-round picks. Only 5 of those quarterbacks have won a playoff game in their first 2 years as starter, and C.J. Stroud is one of them. I think he's special. I think at some point in C.J. Stroud's career, he's going to win a championship.
Ooh, a championship.
I think so, at some point.
Woo! I hope you're right, because he's a very good player. You know, I think he has benefited from a terrible division. But when he's had a chance to beat a team, a comparative team to the Texans, he has come out on top. He's played well in postseason games. Now, he struggled a little bit in Baltimore, but that was to be expected. That was his first road playoff game. But he's got a lot of talent, and what I want for CJ is to just have really good skill position players around him. I know you mentioned it earlier, like, it's great. You have Joe Mixon. You have Nico Collins. It sucks that Tank Dale's not available for this game. Just imagine, I didn't love the trade for Stephon Diggs, but just imagine if, like, hey, at least I can trust that guy in a playoff game. So I think, I don't know if I want to say he's special. Maybe I will reserve that for tomorrow, depending on how the game goes. But he is above average. He is someone that you can build a team around, and I'm not afraid about the contract either, right? You're going to give that at some point, where I was afraid of, okay, I'll never forget this day, because I think it was this. The Dolphins finally caved and gave Tua all that money, despite all the red flags, risk, whatever, fact that he had not won a playoff game yet. And then the Packers were like, get Jordan Love on the phone immediately. Get this man on the phone. We have to sign him to the contract right now. Like, get him at the low price of Tua Tagovailoa. He had already won a postseason game, and they got very close last year to beating the 49ers in the divisional round. So I'm not worried about the money and, like, how you structure the team around him. Obviously, DeMeco Ryans is a pretty good coach. I'll be interested to see if Bobby Slowick stays another year. But he's above average, and he doesn't have, like, the reputation of Joe Burrow, but he's getting closer. And as much as I love Justin Herbert, man, that hurts.
I'm out on Justin Herbert. I can't do it anymore.
I was just like, I don't have it. I'm not going to say this. I can't say anything anymore. I'm sorry.
You haven't won a playoff game at the end of year 5?
When you've been in the playoffs twice and had a golden opportunity to win both of those games.
Against 2 teams from the AFC South. Mm-hmm. Like, if you could pick any division you want to go up against, you would take the winner of the AFC South. The fact that you lost both of those games. I do want to get your thought on this before you get out of here. You have seen the Bills in person this year. You have seen the Ravens in person this year. 2 great games against Kansas City. The Chiefs won one of those games. The Chiefs lost the other one. You are maybe the most neutral observer on who you think is going to win on Sunday night. Who are you taking?
I don't know if I'm neutral, honestly. I love Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry, kids. I love Lamar. I might be colorblind because, I've been watching the in-season Hard Knocks on Max or whatever, HBO. They got a squad, man. They got a really good squad. I've said this before. I think the matchup favors the Ravens. We've seen this game earlier this season. The Ravens dominated them in Baltimore. It's a little bit different. It'll be colder. The Bills have Matt Milano. I know he gets a lot of praise. He has not had the postseason performances I would like out of someone who gets a lot of name recognition, but I ain't ever seen you do nothing in the playoffs. So I'm looking at you, Matt Milano, tackle Derrick Henry 30 times and live to tell the tale. I want it to be an amazing game. I want it to be nip and tuck the entire way. I love that it's a contrasting of styles where I'm asking Josh. I'm not, in fact, I'm not even asking, I'm demanding. Go in that locker room and put a cape on. Go insane. I don't know who's going to win the MVP award. We've already made our votes. So we won't learn that until the NFL Honors Week before the Super Bowl.
You have an MVP vote?
I do for the Pro Football Writers Association.
Oh, okay, cool.
The Associated Press gets to do the official league.
I didn't know you had a vote. That's cool.
Yeah, so I voted for Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry, guys. He's been great. He's been so good this year. But no one can do really what Josh Allen did on that 3rd and short against the Bills, where it's just who was he throwing it to? And it's what a throw. What a throw. So, hey, man, can you do that 3 times against Baltimore? That would be excellent. I'd be tickled. I'd be thrilled. I think Baltimore's the better team, but I want it to come down to the final second. And what I do pray for is those people don't deserve this. I love Buffalo. I love the people of Buffalo. They were excellent to me in November. I love the rivalry and everything it represents about this state of football. They don't need Tyler Bass on the field with the season on the line. Don't do it. The Bills can no longer go through a postseason game of significance and have their kicker be on the field in the final 2 minutes. I don't want to see that. I can't. I don't even root for them, and I can't go through it again. Because when I left that stadium last year,
I'd be very intrigued to see what happens.
I know what happens. He's gonna miss.
It's not the worst thing that can happen.
I didn't even want to mention the miracle in Nashville, where it's guess what, guys? That was the special teams unit. It's the Bills and special teams with the season on the line is just not what you want. So for Josh Allen, be up by 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. Don't let it come down to Tyler Bass. Tyler Bass has been great all season. Scott Norwood, who's been great all season. Yeah, I know what happens. Those people were heartbroken last year. And honestly so, because I was great. This is awesome. This game's going to go to overtime. Oh, my God, he missed, Carrington. It can't come down to Tyler Bass. Put on the cape, Josh. That's what I'm demanding. I'm not asking. I need you to put on the cape because I think Baltimore has the better team, and I think Baltimore will probably win. I'm telling you, McDermott, you've done a great job this year. You cannot let this man get on the field with under 2 minutes left in the season on the line. You cannot. Just keep Josh on the field. See, now I'm nervous because I don't know who's going to win, and I think that's the beauty of it. I don't know who's going to win, but I'll say Baltimore.
That is Nate Taylor joining us in studio here to get you ready for the divisional round of the playoffs. Hopefully we're talking about, you know what? We will talk to you next week.
That's
Either
right.
way,
That's
you
right.
will be on the show to recap a win or recap a loss. Hopefully we are getting ready for the AFC Championship game. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll get back to the top stories. The Chiefs have made their decision. They are going with Joe Thuney at left tackle. Keep it right here. It's The Drive on 96.5 The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
On 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Got emergency vehicles closing the right lane downtown, eastbound 70 just past 11th Street. And seeing some residual brake lights from a collision that has since cleared out eastbound 70 at 435. From the Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric Traffic Center, I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and Clear Skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Hey, it's Gold once again for my friends at Max Motors. In all the winter weather we just had, you were digging yourself out of the snow, and maybe you were navigating the roads and realizing how nice it is to have that four-wheel drive vehicle. Maybe you were thinking, what would it be like to have a four-wheel drive vehicle? Well, at Max Motors, they have new 2024 Ram 2500s up to $16,000 off MSRP. Stock number C240005. See dealer for details. Max Motors has the best financing options available with the max trade-in values in the Midwest. Max Motors, the easiest place to buy a car, maxmotors.com.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
It's playoffs time, KC. Rally House has the Chiefs gear you're looking for, including Chiefs official postseason gear and the latest styles fit for the kingdom.
Kansas, Missouri, Kansas State, Chiefs and Royals make KC great. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's the Rally House.
Gear up in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here with the Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly. Coming up on Sunday in pro football, game of the week, game of the year. Baltimore at Buffalo in the divisional rounds of the playoffs. 2 MVP candidates at quarterback, and Baltimore a 1-point road favorite in the game. The total is sitting at 51.5, and I really like Baltimore to win this game. I think Baltimore is going to be able to run the ball on this Buffalo defense, and I prefer Baltimore's quarterback slightly to Buffalo's quarterback. I think Baltimore might win this game by 7 to 10 points. So coming up on Sunday in the game of the week, the game of the year, give me Baltimore to beat Buffalo. That's it for this Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app and take your game to the next level with the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly.
BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Hey, Chiefs Kingdom, as the official whiskey sponsor of the NFL, it's not a kickoff without the generous spirit of Crown Royal. And that's why we've built the Crown Royal Rig, an absurdly awesome 18-wheeler delivering the generous spirit to stadiums and tailgates across the country. Follow the Royal Rig on its journey from city to city, bringing together local cuisine, NFL legends, and the opportunity to pack a purple bag for charity and win tickets to Super Bowl 59. Visit crownroyal.com for rules and more. Please drink responsibly.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Listen to the Chiefs and Texans Divisional Round playoff game on Saturday with pregame starting at noon. Kickoff at 3:30 with Mitch, Danon, and Kling. Right here on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
Congratulations on getting through your 9 to 5. Thank you so much for listening. It is The Drive on 96.5 The Fan, 96.5thefan.com, also the Odyssey app. You can stream the show if you would like on Twitch and YouTube. So this is going to be a little bit different of a 5 o'clock hour. Coming up in about 15 minutes, I want to play the best of the play-by-play voice with the Houston Texans. I want you to hear their perspective. Also going to give you a little bit of perspective for the other AFC divisional round matchup as well. The Bills and the Ravens, a big-time game. I think a lot of people are expecting the Chiefs to win this game and play the winner of that game. I believe that Kansas City is going to be the highest rated market for the game outside of Buffalo and outside of Baltimore. I think there's a great interest here locally about that game and about who wins that game and who potentially is coming to Arrowhead next week. So I do want to cover it a little bit in the 5 o'clock hour today. So let's talk about the top story, the number one story for today. So we got a tweet a couple of hours ago from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. Let me read to you what the tweet says. The tweet says that the Chiefs plan to start Joe Thuney at left tackle Saturday against the Texans, per sources. DJ Humphries is healthy, but Thuney, a Pro Bowl guard, flourished in tackle relief while Humphries was hurt. So the Chiefs are prepared to ride the hot hand. I understand the purpose of sports talk is to debate things, and I try to tell you guys all the time, I just simply give you my opinion on things. I'm not really that interested in changing your opinion. This is what I think. This is why I think it. A lot of times I see the other side of an argument. I don't have to be right and you have to be wrong and vice versa. We're both just watching the games, giving our opinions on things. This was one of the debates that it didn't really make a lot of sense to me why you would be on the DJ Humphrey side. This is why. The Chiefs played their best football in the month of December. I don't think that that is a debate. I think the Chiefs will tell you that. They played their best football in the month of December. They had one left tackle the entire month of December. It was Joe Thuney. When they had that stretch of 3 games in 11 days, and they played 2 playoff teams in that stretch, one of those playoff teams that is coming to Kansas City tomorrow, and the other one was on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had one left tackle. You're going up against who some people think have the best 1-2 pass rush of any team in the National Football League. You've already gone up against that pass rush with this left tackle, with these 5 offensive linemen, and Joe Thuney gave up 1 sack. It didn't really make sense to me to be on the side of, and we were doing the say it out loud test. Hey, I know what the Chiefs did in December, and I know that they're playing their best football, but let's change things up. What? In fact, I want them to do the exact same thing they've been doing. Exactly what they did against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I want them to do just that. They have not added anybody. I don't want you to take anybody away. Everybody is healthy from that game. Everybody's feeling good. In fact, we're adding Chris Jones from the Pittsburgh Steelers game because we didn't have him. It didn't make sense to me to see what was working for Kansas City and then decide to not do that for the postseason. I understand that DJ Humphries was the original plan, but I think that football is a great metaphor for life. Usually in life, something is going to happen. You're going to have some car issues. You're going to get into it with your old lady. You're going to feel sick one day. You are never going to have things be 100% all the time. And life is usually how you respond to the changes that happen. That's the same thing about football. You're not going to have all 53 guys every single week. You're not going to get every single call. You're not going to make every single block or catch every pass. Usually the team that can withstand the changes and adjust is usually the team that wins. And the Chiefs have shown us through the last 5 years or so, there is no team in the NFL that is better at adjusting and adapting to the changes better than they are. They started this season with the plan. Kingsley Suamataia, they were real confident in that plan. So confident, they drafted that player in the 2nd round, and he was their starter every day for 5 months. They loved that plan. And then they started playing games. And they're like, wait, hold on. This plan's not working anymore. Let's go to Wanya Morris. Another guy that they drafted, they liked, played at a major university, played at Oklahoma. They gave him a chance. They did not like that option. Then they were forced with the decision. They went out and they signed DJ Humphries. A great move to go sign DJ Humphries. Somebody texted in earlier today, well, what was the purpose of signing DJ Humphries if he's not going to start in the postseason? Well, it's good to have a backup plan. You know what our parents used to tell us? You can't put all your eggs in one basket. So they did not put all their eggs in plan A this time. Maybe Mike Caliendo goes out with an injury. Well, you move Joe Thuney back to left guard, and then you put DJ Humphries in at left tackle. Maybe Thuney goes down with an injury. Well, then you have an option. If there is any organization that knows it is better to be prepared at left and right tackle, I think it's the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's number one. And I think their plan was what they went into for the Los Angeles Chargers game. They had a plan. Joe Thuney was going to start then. He was going to be their starter the rest of the season. He got injured. Thuney stepped in. Thuney did a fine job stepping in for DJ Humphries, and the rest is history, so to speak. So this is the side that I've been on this entire time. I think this is the right side to be on of this argument. And again, whatever they did against the Pittsburgh Steelers and against the Houston Texans the first time, I want them to do more of it. And it didn't make a lot of sense to me how you can see what worked for the Chiefs and then be on the side of, I don't want you guys to do that anymore. This was the right decision. Joe Thuney at left tackle, Caliendo at left guard. You keep the rest of the offensive line. This was their best five for the duration of the season. Let me give you guys some numbers really quick and we'll move on from left tackle. These are the other 7 teams that are still left at left tackle. Look at Philadelphia. Their left tackle played 800 snaps this year. Laramie Tunsil played almost 1,100 snaps this year. Deion Dawkins for the Bills played 961 snaps. Ronnie Stanley played almost 1,100 snaps. You had DJ Humphries play 92 this year. This is week 20 of the NFL season. This is not week 1, week 2, week 3. The time for experimenting and trying out different things, that time ended about 10 days ago. I'm not into experimenting anymore. That's what the regular season is for. Let's see this combination. Let's see this combination. At this point, I want you to lock in with what your plan is and go execute your plan and be able to do that for the next 3 weekends. And if the Chiefs execute their plan for the next 3 weekends, we will have another parade in downtown Kansas City. That is the plan that I am for. Coming up in about 5 minutes, Rob, let's catch up with the play-by-play voice of the Houston Texans, but let's get to the other games and let's get to the top stories around the NFL.
Your workday is over.
Oh, yeah.
You're headed home, and now you're stuck in traffic. Time to get caught up on the biggest stories in Kansas City and around the country with CDOT and Rob. It's time for the hits. Number 1.
Carrington, the hits are brought to you by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. Well, as you mentioned, Carrington, it's the Chiefs and Texans. That is the number 1 story in Kansas City. And friend of the show, Matt Vandermeer, was on the show earlier this week. And if Chiefs fans aren't confident enough, he laid out a stat that explains why the Chiefs and favorites in general usually take care of business during Divisional Round weekend.
I'm not overlooking Houston. I'm not. It's a playoff game. Anything can happen. I actually went back and looked it up. Since the divisional round became a thing in 1967, there have been 83 divisional round games where the spread was over 7 points. In those games, favorites are 65 and 18. They win about 80% of the time. You can lose. You can lose. It happens. But if the Chiefs don't give the game away, they're not losing this game. Even if they're a little rusty, even if they've got to figure some things out, they're better. They're better on all 3 phases of the game. They have a better coaching staff. And I think the Texans have a good staff, but the Chiefs staff's probably the best in football. They're better. They may not cover. Maybe it's one of those things where they win 26-20 or something.
Carrington, with that stat in tow and the knowledge we have about what usually happens in Divisional Round weekend, should there be anything but supreme confidence from Kansas City Chiefs fans they'll take care of business against the Houston Texans?
Well, yeah, I certainly think you should feel confident, and I do think the team is playing with the swagger. I think that this is the best position that I think the Chiefs have been heading into the postseason since that COVID year in 2020. The offense is healthy and firing on all cylinders. The defense is going to be healthy. Every single person on their defense was a full participant in practice this week. So this defense is ready to go. Special teams wise, you've allowed Harrison Butker extra time. I think from a just continuity, energy, health standpoint, I think the Chiefs are in a really good spot. I'll give you guys a stat. Out of the last 60 teams to make it to the AFC or NFC championship game, only 8 of those teams won 10 or fewer games in the regular season. 10-win teams just don't get to the next phase of the season. They usually do what Houston did last year. Houston won double-digit games. They went on the road to play the 1 seed in the Baltimore Ravens. They lost 31-10 last year in the second round of the postseason. How I feel about Houston is the exact same way that I feel about the Commanders. The Commanders have had a great season. This is a great building block. This is the first playoff win that the Washington Commanders have had in 20 years. Congratulations. You now go on the road to a team that is well-rested, a team that can win the Super Bowl, and a team that puts the beats on you. I respect Houston. I respect the Commanders. This is just where playoff teams go to die and the Super Bowl favorites emerge. Kansas City is a Super Bowl favorite. We'll see who wins the other AFC game between the Bills and the Ravens. I look at the Lions as being one of those kind of teams. I told you guys about the VIP room and the 5 teams that I think are in the VIP room. I think those teams advance and play next weekend for the AFC or NFC championship.
Number 2.
Speaking of that VIP room, Carrington, maybe the game of the weekend, maybe even the game of the weekend for people in Kansas City. I'll be interested to see the ratings. Bills and Ravens, Sunday, Nance, Romo, CBS. Carrington, is this the year that Lamar Jackson finally beats the allegations about being a playoff choker, or are Buffalo and the boys headed to Kansas City after their divisional round matchup?
It does feel like a lot of people are picking the Ravens. I get it. I do think the Ravens are the more talented of the two teams. But for me, seeing is believing. As somebody who was born and raised in the state of Missouri, in fact, I've never lived anywhere outside of the state of Missouri. This is the show me state. You got to show me that you can win a game like this. Lamar Jackson has 2 road starts in his NFL playoff career. In the first game, he threw for 179 yards and 0 touchdowns. He threw 0 touchdowns in his other road game. He does not have a road touchdown in his playoff career. He has a career passer rating in the postseason of 81.2. He goes from a next-level, elite, all-time great quarterback in the regular season, and he has not shown the ability to continue that heading into the postseason, where I've seen Josh Allen play at that same level, if not elevate his play in the postseason. If we are saying that this is a quarterback league, I'm going to take the team that I think has the better quarterback, also going to take the team that is at home. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills to win this weekend. I think that Baltimore has more talent from start to bottom. I just don't trust Baltimore going into this game. Are they going to continue to run the football? They ran it 50 times last week. When they played in the AFC Championship game against Kansas City, after the first touchdown, they then ran it 8 times the rest of the game. If they get punched in this game, are they going to continue to do what they are doing? I haven't seen them do that in the postseason. And can Lamar overcome his fear? Lamar has been exceptional in the regular season. He has come up routinely small in the postseason. With that, I got to go on the other side. I got to take the Buffalo Bills to take care of business at home and to win this game. Let's get back to the Chiefs and Texans. Earlier today, we had the play-by-play voice on of the Houston Texans. I want to play a little cut of this and the best of our conversation. So this is Mark Vandermeer, the play-by-play voice for the Texans. I asked him if he thinks that Houston can replicate what they did on defense against Kansas City like they played against the Los Angeles Chargers.
Well, McConkey obviously had a great game. I mean, he had almost 200 receiving yards, and I likened it to if you play a basketball team that has a hot scorer, sometimes that guy's going to get his, but if you win the game, you feel like, okay, great, congratulations on the point total. And in his case, the yardage total and that great reception he had on 3rd and long for the TD in the second half. But the answer to your question is pressure. They got to the quarterback. They were hitting him early. They were getting pieces of them, and they finally got sacks. They got pressures. They forced errant throws. And pressure is the great elixir for a defense because the Texans have the guys on the back end to make life really difficult and miserable for quarterbacks. I mean, Kamari Lassiter is a tremendous rookie from Georgia, had the big pick. After the Texans turned it over, he took it right back for Houston. Derek Stingley Jr., all-pro, 2 interceptions. You had Eric Murray with the pick 6. Now, Murray's pick wasn't exactly like he made a tremendous play on the ball. I mean, it was a good play, no question, but it was a high throw by Justin Herbert, and Murray was there to capitalize. So, those things are going to happen when you get pressure on the quarterback, and maybe even if you don't get pressure on a subsequent play, he's maybe thinking about it or rushing it or whatever. So Herbert obviously had a bad game. Texans had a great game on that side of the football, and that meant all the difference in the world to keep that point total down, hold them to 12, and move on to the divisional round.
You mentioned pressure. I feel like if Houston's going to come into Kansas City and pull off the upset, they're going to need that front seven, that defensive line to play a much better game than they did the last time. They only got 1 sack on Patrick Mahomes, and he had a very good day spreading the ball around his weapons. If Houston is going to win this game, you're going to need more from Will Anderson than you got the first time and a lot more from Danielle Hunter.
Yeah, I think those two guys, or, I don't know if it matters where it comes from, Carrington, as long as it arrives in the pocket and makes Mahomes either throw it incorrectly, inaccurately, or, you get him down to the ground is the preferred result of that. When he gets out of the pocket, we all know how dangerous he is. I've always said, and you guys know this, I've always said that the running ability was overlooked. I felt like I was one of the first people to notice this, even though I'm clearly not. But he's not a running quarterback, but, man, he uses that as a weapon so often. And even if it's just 3 times a game where he scrambles for a fresh set of downs, it's so devastating and demoralizing for the defense. At least that's how it feels watching the game. So you just got to find ways to get there. And if it means sending extra people, so be it. Although, the great quarterbacks in this league historically, they don't mind being blitzed because they tend to know where it's coming from. They know who's hot. They find that hot receiver. I think with Mahomes, if you can, and this is with any quarterback, if you can get pressure with your front 4, particularly the tackles, good things are going to happen. Because if the tackles can get up the middle a little bit and at least force him off his launching point, maybe the edge guys can get to him. Now, he tends to go through the B gap, and we all see him make plays like that too. So it's a basic nightmare for anybody facing Mahomes. You just have to find a way to force enough errant throws on 3rd downs and find a way to capitalize on offense. Easier said than done, Carrington.
Right now, we're talking to the play-by-play voice of the Houston Texans, Mark Vandermeer. Mark, do you think that Houston has enough firepower in this matchup? Ron the Show Hughley, who does fantastic work in Houston, he was on the show a couple days ago, and he gave us the stat that Houston has only scored more than 2 touchdowns in one of their last 12 games. You're going to need to put up points in this game against a fully healthy Kansas City Chiefs offense. Joe Mixon's a little bit banged up. We obviously know about Diggs and Dell, and they're not going to play in this game. Do you think Houston has enough firepower in this matchup?
I think they have enough firepower if they play, I hate to say their best games, but play an A game. C.J. Stroud, I thought in the first matchup, and they were rerunning the game this week on NFL Network, so I hate to watch losses again. It's just painful. But I was watching it, and I thought, Stroud was playing pretty well in this game. And that throw he made to Tank Dell where Dell got hurt for the would-be tying touchdown was a hell of a throw. He made some other good passes. Now, I know he turned it over as well. But I felt like the game was very competitive, and it could have been the Texans' day, but the Dell injury seemed to, cast a dark cloud over everything. Long delay, emotional reaction to it. Dell was playing well in this game, and he's a big weapon for them. So in this particular outing, in the divisional round, you absolutely need everybody to be at their best. John Mechie's going to have to catch everything, and he's had some issues with drops on occasion. He had the fumble last week. I know it was a bang-bang play, hard hit, but it happened. First play from scrimmage for the offense. You've got to find a way to hang on to everything that C.J. Stroud throws at you, because I think Stroud is ready for the moment. I mean, this is year 2. He's in the divisional round. People look at his regular season stats. I don't think he pays much attention to that. He knows he played well last week. He knows he's got a great opportunity here. He just played here 4 weeks ago. I think he rises to the the occasion and plays well. Is it going to be enough? We don't know. That's why we love sports. It's unscripted entertainment. I can't tell you what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be a very competitive game.
One of the points that I've been making this week is I think Kansas City is going to win this game. I think they're the better team. They're at home. They're the healthier of these two teams. But I will acknowledge that Houston has some of the ingredients that you would need to pull off an upset. I think Houston has a good head coach. I think they have a capable quarterback. I think they have a very good defense that can get after the other team's quarterback and can also take the ball away. Houston has an ability to maybe muddy this game up where you can go into the final 8 minutes of the game having a real shot with the chance to pull off the upset.
Absolutely. There's always a chance. Anybody will tell you that. Look at last week. Everybody wrote Houston off last week because they watched Christmas Day and thought, that's not a good team. They're not going in the right direction, whatever. But the Texans kind of hit the reset button after that game. And DeMeco Ryans, even though the game against the Titans, the regular season finale, was against an inferior opponent, even though the Titans beat the Texans at home this year, they decided, let's have a great week of prep, great week of execution, great game. Starters played a drive. Most of the starters played a drive on offense. They finished it off beautifully. And I think that gave them a real positive feeling going into that week of prep against the Chargers. And as you all know, Carrington, you follow this game. They'll tell you it's about how they prepare, and they are huge on that here with, hey, we're going to play as well as we practice. Let's practice hard, practice well. They had a full week of football preps because they're going Saturday to Saturday, and I think that helps the Texans. And I know numerous guys are banged up, but they do have the tools to pull it off. Again, you got to make those plays. You're going to have to make the big stop at the moment of truth. You're going to have to hang on to a ball that's hard to get to. You're going to have to knock down a ball that's intended for Hollywood at a big moment if Mahomes is driving late. You're going to have to make those plays, and we won't know until we see it happen. And the Texans are trying to make history here, obviously, getting to the AFC Championship game for the first time ever.
This is usually where I ask people, give me your Chiefs win if scenario, give me your Texans win if scenario. I think for the most part, we know what the scenarios are for Kansas City to pull off a win at home. I'll ask the question this way. What did Houston not do in the first matchup that you think they need to do in part 2 of this series in order for Houston to pull off the upset?
They got to get the ball out. In the first matchup, if they were able to get that fumble return to count, right? They're up 10 at that point. Now, I know we're talking about a series where you had a 24-0 lead in 2019 in the divisional round, and it didn't hold. It evaporated by halftime, which is amazing. We don't have to talk about that game. And only very few players remain from that contest for the Houston Texans. And I know the Chiefs have really been overhauled as well. You see Mahomes, and it feels like with these great teams like the Chiefs, you see the quarterback, it feels like, same team, completely different team. And I know you know this, but, Travis Kelce, Mahomes, Chris Jones, great. Jones didn't play in that 2019 playoff game. But I think they got to get the ball out. They have to find a way to get either a score on defense or such favorable field position that it's almost an automatic. And you're going to have to make a play or two on special teams. I'm not even talking about turnovers. I'm talking about give me a 40-yard kickoff return. Give me a 25 to 30-yard punt return that really makes it favorable field position. Give me one of those. And obviously playing clean. I mean, that goes without saying because if the penalties pile up to double digits and, you turn it over, forget about it. The Texans are not going to do this against a Goliath-like opponent like the Chiefs.
That was the voice of the Houston Texans, Mark Vandermeer, joining us on the show. If you missed any part of that, be sure to check it out on the podcast page on 965thefan.com. Coming up, we'll continue to get you ready for the AFC Divisional Round of the playoffs. We'll continue to get you ready for the action tomorrow here in Kansas City. Also Sunday between the Bills and the Ravens. Keep it right here. It's The Drive on 96.5 The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Something big is happening at Hy-Vee. We've just lowered thousands and thousands of prices on thousands and thousands of items in every aisle and in every department. Online, too. And on many of your favorite products, we've even matched prices with some of the biggest discount stores in the country. Because we get it, times are still tough. So we'll continue to work hard to bring you new lower prices on thousands of items. Things are looking different at Hy-Vee. Come see for yourself.
Men, the new year is here. And if you're like many of us, you're going to make a resolution to improve your health. But if you're feeling sluggish and low energy, if your sleep patterns are off, if you've been working out and aren't seeing the gains you used to see, making that resolution may not be so easy. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're feeling the way I just described, we can likely help you with that resolution, because those symptoms probably mean you're suffering with low testosterone. And at Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating this condition. With our low T protocols, if you're like most men, the change will astound you. You'll feel more energy and better mental clarity, your sleep will improve, your workouts will be better, and you'll likely find your sex drive goes up as well. So call us today and get treated for your low T. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
At Shane Company, our engagement rings are the perfect blend of design, function, and beauty. Each one a unique work of art. We meticulously craft our bridal jewelry in our jeweler's workshop to the highest standards, expertly setting each diamond by hand, ensuring the structure is perfectly balanced, and sizing everything for the perfect fit. Shane Company offers a free unmatched lifetime warranty because your engagement ring is an heirloom that was made to last. You'll cherish your ring today, tomorrow, and forever. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Hey, it's Gold once again for my friends at Max Motors. In all the winter weather we just had, you were digging yourself out of the snow, and maybe you were navigating the roads and realizing how nice it is to have that four-wheel drive vehicle. Maybe you were thinking, what would it be like to have a four-wheel drive vehicle? Well, at Max Motors, they have new 2024 Ram 2500s up to $16,000 off MSRP. Stock number C240005. See dealer for details. Max Motors has the best financing options available with the max trade-in values in the Midwest. Max Motors, the easiest place to buy a car, maxmotors.com.
Missouri sports fans, I've got great news. Underdog is available to play in your state. Just like for me, Underdog is the best place to cash in on all of your sports takes. It doesn't matter the sport. You want to head over to Underdog to make sure you're part of over the 5 million happy players and $2 billion won. With their champs game, you can win up to 1,000 times your money by just choosing higher or lower on player stats, touchdowns, yards, interceptions, points, rebounds, whatever it is. They got your favorite leagues, teams, stars to choose from. And when you make those selections, you can sign up to win real cash prizes all season long. Underdog is the place to play champs. Download the app, sign up using promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code TAPP. Must be 18 plus and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Paid for client portrayal and endorsement. Choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
I got hurt in a car wreck. Give me one good reason why I should call DM Law.
How about 3 great reasons you should call us? 1, it's easy. You can hire us today on your phone, or we can come to you. 2, it's fast. We can start helping you today. 3, the results.
DM Law got me $331,000. Mike's got this.
I've got this.
816-888-7500.
Mike's got this.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 40-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost you about $100 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-353-9057. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-353-9057. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-353-9057. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life insurance, call 800-353-9057. 9057, 800-353-9057, or biglou.com.
Chiefs coverage is brought to you by the Missouri Air National Guard. Serve your community your way. Serve your country and build a brighter future with the Missouri Air National Guard. Top-notch training, tuition assistance, and bonuses up to $50,000. Missouri Air National Guard St. Joseph. Aim high. Find your path today. Go to ang.com/MO.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Two-car crash causing significant backups westbound lanes of 435. The crash is at Metcalf. Traffic backed up to the state line. And a stalled out car northbound 35 at 635. Seeing some brake lights behind that as well. From the Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric Traffic Center, I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
Welcome to your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
All right, coming back in just a bit, we'll get you a little bit of Bills thoughts. We'll also get you some Ravens thoughts and get you ready for that side of the AFC playoffs. Let me ask you guys this. Do you ever spend any time thinking about Patrick Mahomes' first playoff win? I imagine for a lot of you, that was actually a really good day. The Chiefs had won a home playoff game, and God knows how long it had been. They won the playoff game in Houston, but that's something you saw on television. This was a game that you got to go to, a game that you got to experience. The Chiefs won a home playoff game. We don't really spend any time talking about that game. Do you remember who scored in that game? Do you remember who played? Do you remember any? No. You want to know why? Because the game was boring. That's what I want Saturday to be. I want Saturday to be boring. I don't want there to be anything that we spend time talking about in the future. If we spend time talking about this game, it is usually because something went wrong. The reason we talk about the Miami game from last year is because it was minus 20 degrees outside. Something was wrong. The reason that we talk about the Chiefs playoff game against Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville is because something went wrong. Mahomes had the ankle injury. You remember they played a home game against the Cleveland Browns. If you remember, something went wrong. Patrick didn't finish the game. They needed a 99-yard drive from Chad Henne to win that game. Something went wrong. I want this to be a usual, standard, normal playoff game. That's it. I don't need it to be anything special. I don't need it to be memorable. I need this to be a regular Week 7 Chiefs and Texans game. And usually when the Chiefs are fully healthy and Patrick Mahomes stays healthy throughout the game, that's what they usually have happen. They have had 4 of those games in this round of the postseason, the playoff openers for Kansas City. They've had 4 of those games in which Patrick Mahomes started and finished the game. That playoff game that we were talking about with Indianapolis, they won that game 31-13. They blew out the Indianapolis Colts. That was Mahomes' first home playoff win. The next season, that was the Houston game. The reason we talk about that Houston game, they got down 24-0 in the first quarter of the game and needed a pretty big comeback, and they won 51-31. The game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, you remember that game back in 2021? We don't ever spend any time talking about that game, right? They won that game 42-21. They smoked the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last year's Dolphins game, there's really 2 things to remember from that game. It was cold and Snead drove Tyreek Hill into the ground. They won 26-7. Domination in these games. That's what I want this game to be. I do not think that Houston can beat Kansas City. I think the Chiefs can lose to the Texans. How do you lose in this scenario? You lose by playing down to their level. If the Chiefs play a B-plus game or higher, this is not going to be something that you need to worry about. If the Chiefs play a B- game or lower and Mahomes gets sacked 4 times, they turn the football over, Houston scores a defensive touchdown the way that they did last week, Houston gets a big play in special teams, the Chiefs have 9 penalties for 105 yards, Jawan Taylor is a little jumpy on the snap. That's how Houston keeps this game close. I don't think that Houston has enough firepower to be able to keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs. This is not me being cocky. This is not me being arrogant. I'm simply looking at the box score from last week against the Chargers. Listen to this. Joe Mixon had 25 carries for 106 yards. It's been a while since a running back has really run all over the Chiefs, but he had a good game last week. Nico Collins also had a good game. 7 catches, 122 yards, and 1 touchdown. He had a dynamite game. 8 targets, 7 catches, over 120 yards, and a touchdown. He won you a little money in your parlays. Listen to everybody else. Nobody else on Houston's offense had more than 45 yards of offense last week against the Chargers. You had Xavier Hutchinson. Rob, you and I watch a lot of college football. Do you know what college Xavier Hutchinson went to? Do you know who Xavier Hutchinson is? I've never heard of this man before. I'm serious. I don't know who he is. He was their second leading receiver last week with 34 yards. They had Cade Stover, who had 4 catches for 28 yards. John Mechie, the wide receiver from Alabama, he had 4 catches for 28 yards. Dalton Schultz had 2 for 23. Robert Woods had 2 catches for 22 yards. This team has 2 capable offensive weapons. And this is a defense with Spags that I believe you can minimize one of these options. Maybe you're not completely shutting down Joe Mixon and Nico Collins. If you do that, Houston scores 3 points. But you take one of these guys out of the game, and we've seen them do that with running backs. Joe Mixon has 45 yards rushing, has 51 yards rushing. Well, somebody has to make up those yards. Who in this offense do you think is capable of making up those yards against a fully healthy, fully rejuvenated Chiefs defense that has had a lot of time to get right, get ready, and prepare for a cornerback room that is going to be as deep as they've been at any point in the second half of the season? A D-line that is getting Chris Jones back, has Charles Omenihu, they're healthy and they're fresh. I just don't think Houston has the firepower to keep up with the Chiefs if the Chiefs play their brand of football. If the Chiefs play how they played against Houston the first time, they win this game pretty comfortably. If they play how they played against Cleveland, they win this game comfortably. If they play how they played against Pittsburgh, they blow the Texans out on Saturday. If the Chiefs come in and play their game, I just don't think that Houston they don't have the pieces. They don't have the horses, I think, to be able to win this game. I just don't trust them in this scenario. It's that simple. We had Ron the Show Hughley on earlier this week. This is what he said about Houston's offense. Listen to this stat.
Like right now, you look at it, and they got Nico and they got Joe Mixon. And I would think Spags is going to try to do what he can to at least take one of those options away. So, yeah, that is a big concern to me to see if they've got enough. And in another stat here, in the last 12 weeks, the Texans' offense has scored 2 touchdowns, more than 2 touchdowns once in the last 12 weeks. 11 of the last 12 games, they have been 2 touchdowns or below from an offensive standpoint. Now, the defense has scored 5 times in that time frame to help them, but they've been 14 points or lower, or at least in terms of touchdowns in the last 12 weeks. So, and that's with having Tank Dell in there in some of those games. So yeah, it's their margin of error on offense is really, really small.
If you only score 2 offensive touchdowns in this game, I don't think that's a game that you're winning. What's the highest amount of points you think Houston scores if they only score 2 offensive touchdowns? 20? They score 2 touchdowns, they get 2 field goals, they score 20 points. Is that enough to go on the road and beat Kansas City? I don't think so. I think if Houston is going to win this game, they're going to need some outside forces. Houston's going to need a defensive touchdown. Houston's going to need a turnover that puts the ball right there on the doorstep where their offense has to go 25 yards in order to score a touchdown. They just don't have the dogs right now to go out there. You got Joe Mixon, you got Nico Collins. If the Chiefs take one of those 2 guys out, and the Chargers, who have the number 1 scoring defense in the league, couldn't take out either one of those individuals. If the Chiefs slow down Joe Mixon or limit Nico Collins, I'm not really sure if there's another person in that offense. The guys that could potentially help you, they're injured right now. Diggs is out with the torn ACL. Diggs is out with a broken kneecap. They don't have enough firepower, in my opinion, to keep up with a a pretty well-rounded Chiefs team. When you look at that running back room, you look at the wide receiver room, the tight end room, they got the offensive line shored up. I think the Chiefs score at least 27 points tomorrow, and I think that's going to be enough against Houston. Coming up on the other side, let's get you ready for the other game in the AFC, Bills and Ravens. Keep it right here. It's The Drive on 96.5 The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
So let me tell you guys about my friends over at The Other Place. They have 5 locations around Kansas City to get you ready for some great playoff action. We got 3 straight days of the playoffs, whether it's with the pros or in college. So that means you're going to need some great food specials. Tomorrow, they have a 14-inch 2-topping pizza for $12. 8 wings and a basket of tots for $12, also $4 domestics, and you also want to catch the national championship game on Monday. If you are looking for a place that has all of the action, all of the screens so you don't miss a second of the action, a one-of-a-kind game day experience, and the next best thing to actually go into the games, then go check out my friends at The Other Place.
T-Mobile 5G home internet keeps getting better. Get our fastest connection loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with auto pay and any voice line. Plus, Price Lock. We won't raise your rate on internet. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/home internet.
Exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Guarantees regular monthly rate plan price of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. After $15 bill credit with postpaid voice line plus $5 a month without auto pay with debit or bank account. Regulatory fees included for qualifying accounts. $35 connection charge applies. Speeds vary due to factors affecting cellular networks.
Hey, it's Karen with Shamrock Roofing and Construction. Ready to replace that roof? We have flexible financing options, 12 months same as cash, and don't make a payment for 90 days. And that's just one of many options we offer. Get on the schedule now with our in-house Consumer Credit Center. One call does it all for flexible payment options, affordability, and peace of mind. Visit shamrockroofer.com. That's shamrockroofer.com or call 1-866-932-3545 today.
It's cold outside, and the cupboard is bare. No worries. Let Hy-Vee do the shopping with aisles online. It's easy. Go to Hy-Vee.com, choose your store, select your items, and schedule a convenient pickup or delivery time. Right now, get $10 off any $125 aisles online purchase. What could be better? We do the shopping and deliver your groceries. You stay warm and save money. Download the Aisles Online app or go to Hy-Vee.com today.
As the Chiefs go for a three-peat in the big game, Hy-Vee's making my life easier. Hy-Vee's my one-stop shop for all game day needs. From official Chiefs apparel to fan favorites, including wings, ready-to-bake pizza, and freshly prepared dips like spinach artichoke, street corn, and buffalo chicken dip. Hy-Vee has Chiefs-themed cookies and sheet cakes and cupcakes as well. Plus, don't forget the Hy-Vee Wine and Spirits department for all of your game day beverages. Elevate your home gate at Hy-Vee, the official grocery sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com, and I look forward to working with you.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on SingleCare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to SingleCare.com or download the free app today.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense.
Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Arvest Bank, believing in the power of serving others.
Arvest Bank believes in the power of serving others. That's why we're committed to supporting those who serve our communities. We believe that all communities deserve a financial partner who cares. Arvest. We believe.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Seeing some slowdowns into downtown via northbound 35, brake lights eastbound 70 out of the 435 exchange, and southbound 71 between MLK and East Gregory. From the Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric Traffic Center, I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
Chiefs fans, it's Trey Smith. Welcome to the Drive with C-Dot on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Welcome back into the Drive on 96.5 The Fan. My name is Carrington Harrison. Happy to be here with you. We will be here on Monday. I know that Monday is a national holiday, but we are locked in for the postseason. At least I'm here. You know, it's always 50-50 with Rob. Rob ain't showing the same level of commitment that I'm showing. Rob's got a busy day tomorrow. Rob's going to the KU game. Rob's going over some special house. He can't even tell me where he's going. It's some hyper-exclusive Chiefs playoff watch party at Jay Rieger's. I don't know where he's going. Somewhere exclusive. Like, oh, where are you going? Oh, man, I can't really talk about it. What do you mean? Oh, man, it's going to be great. I can't get invited. No, man, it's just I don't know, man. It's going to have a few people. Okay, never mind. I don't know what's going on. So he's driving to Lawrence for the game. He's driving back to go to some disclosed location to watch the playoff game. Then he got floor seats for Seinfeld. So he think he's walking around here like he big time. I don't know if he's going to be here on Monday. I'm going to be here. That is my duty. That is my obligation to you for tuning into this show. Rob hasn't shown that commitment. Rob's taking off for weddings. Rob's taking off because it's the end of the year. He's tired. What? It's the playoffs. I'm going to be here, though, because we got too much to talk about. We got playoff football. We're going to know who the last 4 teams are in the NFL. Let's start with the Bills, shall we? I'm picking the Bills to win this weekend. Let's start with the Bills. I asked Jeremy White of WGR in Buffalo if he feels like the Bills are being disrespected heading into Sunday, because it feels like the popular consensus is the Ravens are winning this game.
I think it comes down to star power. Like, people just don't really trust their offense, and I do think that's a little bit justified. I mean, I'm even a little bit nervous. Can they continue to find the perfect formula like they have pretty much since that Ravens game back in September? They lost that game. They lose to Houston the next week, and after that, rattled off a bunch of wins in a row, beat Kansas City, beat Detroit, all the way up to the Rams game that they lost while scoring 42. So the offense had struggles early, and that's just a different team. And each and every week they've had answers. So I think they've got a great chance to win this game. And in terms of like the quarterback conversation, I think the two men with the most pressure are Lamar Jackson and Sean McDermott. And it's because they kind of live the same life, which is they're great, and then in the playoffs, they're not as good. And one of those two is going to try to shed that this week, or maybe successfully do so, because Bills fans need a big performance from their defensive head coach, from their defensive coordinator, Bobby Babich, because almost every year in the playoffs, the defense has let them down.
That is Jeremy White joining us on the show from WGR out in Buffalo. I do think that the Ravens have the better roster of the two. But for the Bills to be a home underdog in this, I do think is a little bit disrespectful. If this game was in Baltimore, that line tells me that the Ravens would be a 4.5, 5.5 point favorite. I don't think there's that much of a gap between these two teams. Buffalo is the home team. Buffalo had a little bit of a rest. I guess you could argue Baltimore had the same at the end of the season. I think that Josh Allen has been the better postseason quarterback of the two. I'm picking Buffalo to win. You can get them right now as a home dog on the money line at plus 100. No juice. Just do you think that Buffalo is going to win the game? I already placed the bet. I think that Buffalo is advancing. I think Buffalo is heading to Kansas City for the AFC Championship game. Let's get the Ravens' perspective on things. This is my big thing with the Ravens. Are they going to stick to running the football? Last year in the AFC Championship game, they ran it 8 times. That's not how Baltimore wins games. Last week, they ran it 50 times against Pittsburgh. If they show that level of commitment to running the football, they're going on the road and potentially winning. But what I think we've seen from Baltimore in the postseason is if you punch Baltimore back in the postseason, they kind of wither up. I saw Derrick Henry do that to them back in, 2019. Went in there, stiff arm Earl Thomas. We haven't seen Earl Thomas since. I saw Kansas City do that last year in the AFC Championship game. Come out, firepower, guns blazing. I saw the Ravens switch up on us in real time. If that happens in this game, if Josh Allen comes out there early and, hey, I'm the best quarterback in the National Football League and dominates the game, is Baltimore going to stick with what they've done? Are they going to stick to their game plan and run the football? Because they didn't do that last year against Patrick Mahomes. I asked Cordell Woodland that question. Here's what he said.
The league wasn't created with the idea that any team would ever have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the same backfield. Nobody ever thought that that's what they would have to deal with in the postseason. So, they're going to challenge teams to stop the run and probably more than stop the run. You're going to have to really almost shut the run game down or at least force them into a lot of passing down situations. The Ravens do kind of help teams out with their penalties. They're the most penalized team in the league, a lot of pre-snap penalties. So that could be a factor. But if they're able to stay on schedule, I just don't really see a scenario where they'll be forced to get out of their game plan. And make no mistake about it, I don't think that they're afraid to throw the ball. Lamar, he led the league in the passer rating this year. So he's as efficient as they come in terms of throwing the ball and running the ball. They feel comfortable winning either way. But make no mistake, it all leans on the run game, and they want to emphasize that for sure.
I do think that this game feels a lot like the Rose Bowl from, 2002? I'm not saying this is the national championship game, but you remember Reggie Bush won the Heisman that year. They were going up against Vince Young, who came in second in the Heisman. And I think now looking back, if people could change their vote, I think they would give it to Vince Young. He's the one that has the iconic moment. He's the one that has the confetti. If you remember, Reggie Bush actually had the biggest turnover in that game and was part of the reason why USC didn't win 3 straight national championships. So this does have that kind of feel. I'm hoping it's a good week in the National Football League. The NFL hasn't been that good since Christmas Day. We got a couple of beatdowns. Week 18 was nothing. Last week was nothing. Please, football gods, bless us. Give us some good football this weekend. I appreciate you guys listening. We had a great week. Really excited for next week if the Chiefs win. We've already got a plan in place. Next week is going to be one of the biggest weeks that we've ever had on this show. I appreciate you guys listening and making us a part of your day. Have a great weekend, and I'll let Daniel